Our next guest is not new to the work that we do over at the Youth Agency. A former participant to our mentorship program, Chef Stael is a multifaceted, multi-talented young woman who is thriving in the creative world. Personal chef specializing in the vegan cuisine, catering to the overall health of the body, the mind, and the spirit. Chef Stael is your ultimate personal chef, which will support your healthy life journey. A mother, daughter, and a sister, Stael is also one who honors the ancestors through embodying her voodoo heritage. These days, one can find her through her ritual work at Mouchoua Guinée over on Instagram. Join us on Sunday, June 2nd at 4 p.m. for a rich conversation related to arts and culture over on Instagram at youthagencyinternationalht.
I am going to allow you to introduce yourself. But I was talking to people, and I was first. I'm so happy to see you. I haven't seen you in a year, only online that I've that I've seen you, but it's been such a long time. I want people to know that Syed is actually a childhood friend. Our mothers are very much friends. We are, definitely related. And she has an amazing story to share. I'm really, really honored, and I'm really, really happy to have her here. So I am going to give her the floor so that she can introduce herself to you guys. And then after that, we're going to start with the questions.
Well, thank you. I mean, oh my God. um, First, I want to commend you for the work that you are doing. I know you go by Daisy, but I know you as Rebecca, as Becky for always. you know, and seriously, like I've been following you for years, and déjà comme you know exactly how I feel about the work that you're doing. I'm so proud of you. It's necessary what you are doing. You are a trailblazer, and it's so funny to hear you say that you are inspired by me. I'm getting chills because I'm like you inspired me. So it's just loving to hear the the accolades and the love in between two well-respected women, friend, childhood friend, and we're doing our part in the community and society. So I thank you. That was in a beautiful introduction. I mean, you kind of said it all. But I commend you. I commend you so much for. I have so much respect for you, and you are my inspiration for the work that you're doing, that you're continuing doing, and you give your time and your energy and your passion in what you do, and it shows. So thank you for having me. Thank you for everything that you're doing. So with that being said, I am Stael Leon. Usually most people know me as Chef La or Chef Stael. And recently, I also go by Bomabo Viniwawe. That's another side of who I am. As a chef, I have been in the culinary industry professionally for over 10 years now. And it has really shaped my life in so many ways that I did not expect, right? Um, I'm also a mother. I have a beautiful son. He's 6 years old, going to be 7. I'm a family member. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. You pretty much said it all. I'm a friend, and I'm also a person that is implicated in my community a lot more than I ever thought I would, especially these days. So overall, that is pretty much me. I'm a personal chef. I've got myself into being a personal private chef for the past 6 years now, due to the fact that I became a mother, and I really wanted to have somewhat of a balanced life to be able to be a parent and have access to still do what I love to do and cater to people and be at service to others. And being in the restaurant industry, it is really hard to balance that life because it's mostly a nightlife. It's mostly a weekend life where you're barely at home. If you're at home, you're only at home just to sleep, to renew, to go back to be service to people. And it's almost a 7 day a week type of situation. So it wasn't fitting with what I wanted to be as a, or who I wanted to be as a parent. And I decided to go that route. And it has opened doors for me in many ways that I did not expect, right? So that's how I kind of got into being a personal private chef. And then it's kind of just, it took, a life of its own, with that. And culinary became something more than just cooking. It became a lifestyle. It became to understand food and my personal relationship with food, and also what people are searching for when it comes to eating and eating properly for their body, for their lifestyle, for their families and whatnot. So it kind of just it's really like took a toll on its own, and I'm really grateful that I got to experience that kind of lifestyle, and it got me to the other side of my spirituality as well. So that's something we'll talk later on. But it just, how something just kind of starts from one place, and then you didn't know where it was gonna take you, and you find yourself somewhere else, and when you look back, you're like, wow, this is where I started. This is my why, right? And it kind of just took me from there. So yeah, that is pretty much the basic of who I am at this point.
All right. Well, first, I am going to have to rewind because you said that, I don't want to fail as an entrepreneur. You are literally someone who lived in Haiti as well. You came back to Haiti, and I do believe that you stayed for maybe like around 3 to 5 years in Haiti. You've had a significant life experience because you literally were out there in Haiti. You participated in so many events while you lived here with us in Haiti. And then unfortunately, with the country, with everything, you chose to go back to Montreal. But I know that your heart is still with us here as well with Haiti. So it's important because, as entrepreneur, we have to understand that nothing really should be a barrier with us. And before you were a chef, I believe you were in the medical field, if I'm not mistaken. That's a big shift to be in the medical field, and not only in the medical field, it's basically to have a good job. This is good finance. This is something that you can plan your life around. And as someone who is an entrepreneur and who coach people, one of the biggest thing is for people to jump. I have a lot of people who continuously want to take workshop, and I'm like, I'm not teaching you anymore because for la game, for voler, if you want to be an entrepreneur, yes, there's so much you could do, but sometimes you already have the knowledge, babe. You already took everything that you need. It's time for you to jump. You got to make that jump. And especially these days, because if you think about 10 years ago, I feel like these days with the economy, especially after 2020 with COVID and everything, it's a little challenging for people to feel like, okay, what do I do? Am I really going to jump? So I'd love for you to tell us how you left that side of the world, being in the medical field, and how, like, what was the decision process, and what helped you to say, what, no, I'm gonna do this, and you literally not only left that, but also what was the decision factor of you leaving Montreal and coming here to Haiti and living in Haiti for a very long period of time as well.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm glad you asked. And it's also as you're asking me, I'm processing the whole thing in my head, and I realized, we were young and crazy. um, and at the same time, it was just there was a big shift happening. First of all, let me kind of take it back. I worked as a nurse at a hospital for almost 10 years before I decided to make that jump. And I've always known that as a kid that I would be in some kind of you know career will be of service to people. I would be a, either in entertainment or healing or something that's always me servicing others, right? And it was fixed on me being a pediatrician because I remember growing up in Haiti, all my siblings were older than me, yet whatever issues that they had, they would come to me for me to help them to fix it. They put the band-aid on. Like, and Janan, every time she gets a cut or something, she comes to me crying with it. And she's older than me. So it wasn't always me putting citron, Stael or something to stop the bleeding or something. So I always knew at some point I will be in something that has to do with that. And at the same time, I grew up watching my grandmother cooking every single day, especially during the summertime. And I was just reality chef bamshita, and I'm like in awe just watching her cook, and whatever she needed, I was the assistant. She never called me to come sit and do anything. It was always me ready to come and do that. So those passion were always there. It wasn't something that, you know, anybody had to pull my ear to go say you got to do that, or just so it was just something that was always in me. um and when we moved to the States, financial situation, the parents, they have their limits and whatnot, and you also have paper issues with immigrations and everything like that, so that kind of hinder us actually going further in like college and universities. So because of that, it was, you either do nothing or you find something lesser than to do. So I said, okay, well, if I can't be a doctor, then I'll be a nurse. Why not? So I went into it, and I found out that it's actually better for me anyways, because I get to connect more with patients rather than just come in and just give orders and walk away, which I find that's most a lot of doctors do. And that kind of, I'm a curious person to begin with. I love to do research. I love to open things up and try to see how to fix them and whatnot. So it kind of got me to dig deeper and trying to understand what is the difference between a nurse and a doctor, and then where you can actually have more input, right? So I love doing that. I love walking in a room and be the sunshine and smile, and somebody is on the bed and they're sick and they're not feeling well, and you come in and you brighten up their day, and they tell you that feedback afterwards also, like, thank you for doing your job, thank you. It kind of gives you a sense of purpose, and then down the line, when I realized I have family members dropping left and right, they were getting sick, and giving Haiti's situation at that time. So back they say de l'argent, ou pas un service l'hôpital, moun nan mouri pour rien. So those things started to affect me, and I'm like, well, I started looking back. My grandmother passed away at 102 years old, okay, 10 years ago, and she had all her, she was fit, everything was there, cognitive, everything. Chikungunya that came, got it twice. That's why she passed away. Otherwise, she probably would still be here today. You understand? Then I started looking into it, and I said, well, how come? How come somebody can live that long with all her cognitive or her abilities intact, and her kids are dying left and right based on, lack of care from, the services that we're supposed to get as basic needs. And then that kind of get me riled up, and I said, okay, the medication that they're giving the patients are not it. It's just a band-aid. It's a temporary fix. It doesn't really care for anything. Grandma taught me herbs. Grandma taught me, like natural remedies, homemade remedies, and those things work. So I started going deeper into it. And I've always loved food. I've always wanted to be in food. Earthquake happened. I lost my stepfather. My grandmother was still alive at that time, and I said, I'm gonna go back to take care of her and try to understand who she is and learn more from her, right? 10 days before I left, she passed away. So that was like my whole, and I already got my plane ticket. I sold my car. I removed everything, and I said, I'm gonna go back to take care of her. And before I left, she passed. So that shifted everything. But by that time, I was already finishing culinary school. I wasn't sure that I was gonna go to Haiti to work in the culinary or in a hotel or anything like that. I just know I wanted to come and take care of my grandmother. And if I end up finding a job somewhere, then we'll go from there and see how long I'm gonna be able to stay. I didn't know I was gonna be there for 3 years. I had no idea that I was gonna get the opportunities. Nothing was planned. That wasn't planned. The plan was I'm going to take care of my grandma. right? And the fact that she passed away, that shifted everything because now there's the house. There's nobody else to really take care of the house. Ou kon kon ba sa Haiti, sou pa gen moun, kalap kaze, etc. So, pas de moun qui te gen accès à aller back and forth à part de moi-même. So, kounya, the whole responsibility shifted on me. And then it was like for me, okay, so go and take care of business and maybe spend 3 months and then come back. Well, I ended up staying for 3 years. Because at that time, then you had Chef Stefan, Chef Natasha Gomez, that they were doing so many big things in Haiti at that time. It was just expanding because being a chef wasn't recognized in Haiti. C'est ou ton bonne, ou ton servante, ou cuisinière. There was no it's true. There was no parent of yours will say, yeah, you go to cooking school. You know, it's either you're a doctor, you're an engineer, you're a nurse, and that's it. So that alone is a story of its own because my mother was like, what the heck are you doing? I was going.
The usual.
And let me tell you, it was not an easy process at all because I was working full time in the hospital. I was in charge of a residency with elderly patients in long Montréal. I was working full time there, and I was going to school evening every day, Monday to Friday, 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. So I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I would come home at midnight every single day for 2 years straight. You understand? So it wasn't easy just because I've always loved cooking. And I told myself, you know how when you go to university, people have a major and a minor. To me, that's what I was doing. I was majoring in nursing. I was going to work and everything. I would did that, and I'm like, if anything should happen, I would always have that as a backup. Because healthcare, même si tout ton numéro, but there will always be jobs. You know what I mean? So I said, why not? And then I was like, I'm gonna go for my passion because it's one life to live. You never know where it might take me, and it may happen or may not happen, but I have no regrets, no matter what. So that's what I did. I pushed myself and I did that. And when I was doing that, Twitter at that time was very popular and people were tweeting all the time. And I started just, I started tweeting all the big chefs and I named myself, I think at that time I was uprising chef because I wasn't a chef yet. I was just getting started in the professional world, yet I've been cooking my entire life. So I just started connecting with other chefs and getting the hang of what's going on, what's happening in Haiti. And I said, if I'm going to become anything, it should be my homeland because I've always wanted to be in Haiti. I've never really wanted to be outside of Haiti. Circumstances made it so, but for me, it was a perfect opportunity to go back, right? And then my grandmother passed away, and it was like, okay, so now it's for sure, I'm going back. So I went there, and I think after the funeral, everybody came. I had a connection with my boyfriend at the time, who introduced me to Monsieur Buteau at Caribe Hotel. And I got an interview. The next day I got hired. And that's pretty much that. I started working at Caribe Hotel until they opened Asu Lounge on the rooftop. Then I got the position as a sous chef there and I started working there. And then from that, I went to work at the Marriott Hotel. And it was just, it was a great network moment because we had the Gouet Saveur, or the food festivals, the chef television. We did so much and so little time. And to me, it was just like, I didn't see myself as a connoisseur or as anything like that. I just saw myself, dude, like, I want to be part of those people that's shifting, that's changing things. And when they knock, I knock on doors and they ask me, can I do? Yes, yes, yes. It was all yes. So that's how I got into certain rooms that I never thought I would be in. And it just went from there.
Stael, just hearing you talk gives me chill. Parce que gen pile moun, oh my God, this is gonna have to be bilingual, guys, because sometimes the Creole just kicks in. So for my American public, I'm gonna do my best, but some stuff in business for me ingrained into these Haitian motherfuckers. Excuse the French, okay? Je dis à ma travail on le gens. But I'm just with this YouTube thing at this point. I'm almost having my comments off because I no longer want to answer to people who are asking me some of them questions such as, "But what do you do?" But how? Both because hearing you, not only was the faith there, but also the network. We say, like in our language, we'll say the grind. The reality is the networking effective. Is the magnetic dehors? Is there I'm gonna connect? Is there I'm gonna write people? And this is also the same path that I did when I had to move back to Haiti. You know my mom, so we're not gonna get into that. So I just was grinding, I was networking, I was writing to people, and I was not afraid. And look at all the doors that open for you. And I don't know, and this is something that I always kind of like. One thing about you that I do admire is that you are a woman who means business. If you want to do something, you're gonna put your foot there, and you're gonna put your money there. My coaching and my mentorship, you was one of the first group of people, and you were like, I'm doing this because it looks like what you're going to do. It feels like it's going to be the right fit for me. I need that. And there was no like second guessing yourself. Even with the interviewing, I threw the ball at you. You said yes. You contacted me. Like when you want to do something, there is no second guessing with you. You just put your foot out there. And it's the same thing with the first woman that I interviewed. It's the same thing with everybody that I interviewed that as regular people. I want people to understand that. It's kind of like when you want to do something, God has already put the vision there. The vision you started, you said, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to support grandma. But little did you know that the whole path was going to open for you, that you would get to come to IEC, that you would get to work. And I remember around the time I was on Facebook, and IET had so many things going on. There was festivity there. There was festivity there. Like, toute la fin journée, moun yo de. And as you said, being a chef now with Instagram, so many Haitian people are chefs. So many Haitian people, it has become so competitive these days, right? So I really want for you to kind of like let people know how this time that you spent here in Haiti, what did you learn from working in Haiti? Because I find that whether it is some of us, who grew up in Haiti, because there are so many of us who grew up in Haiti and we feel like, oh my God, like coming back to Haiti, and it's kind of like, it's so, ou à l'aise que tu y a, ou comment tu à l'aise dans pays pap, ou à un pays blanc, faut commencer vin bat chalet avec nous, vin bat moustique yo, vin bat poussière, okay? Because a lot of us we did it. So when you're watching us doing it, a lot of you guys have not only grown up in Haiti, but also I have a lot of my young adults now. They've never lived in Haiti, and they want to be in Haiti. They crave that. They want that feeling. So many of my YouTube people who watch, they're like, you know what? I really want to do so. I would love to hear you talk about those 3 years experience, what it taught you from having not only gone back to the US and lived in the US, lived in Canada, and then coming back to IT, but coming back as an adult because you also have to live on your own. So you have to figure it out. So it's not like you were living and mommy was there, daddy was there. No, you were your own grown up living in Haiti, having to go to work to Haiti, having to pay your bills in Haiti. What was those 3 years?
Girl, you sure you got time? um, Listen, okay, first of all, you know how they say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere? Me, it was not New York. Me, it was if you can make it in Haiti, you can make it anywhere. Trust me on that one. Because ti pe yon an, son père là, son père là, son père tout bon vrai. Mais le peuple, malheureusement, la majorité a travail mental là pour beaucoup là-dedans. Nous avons un paquet de chemin pour nous faire toujours plus devant. OK? I was not afraid of living home because even though I left since I was 10 years old, being an adult in Haiti, it was my first time being an adult in Haiti and understanding the intricacies of the networking within, because you can hear people talk about so many things, but to actually witness this and live it, it's a completely different situation. And at that time, because there was a major shift happening, like it or not, Michel Martelly font un paquet de bon changement dans le pays que gon pi moun pa jamais reconnaître ni apprécier ni comprendre. Il va parce que pas pour lui pas politique non, mais comme pays tout ça qui gaspille dans le pays c'est politique, nous obligé de la donne tout petit, vous comprenez? Et because he was that group associé was, in service, it opened doors for a lot of things, a lot of different aspects to come in to the country, different businesses to come into the country at that time. So it was like, oh, everybody, especially me, was feeling like, wow, what a time to be alive. This is a perfect opportunity to come in and change things or be part of the change, be a pioneer, because there's so much going on outside of us and we're so left in the past that us, the young ones coming in, can do so much, can change so much. We have ideas left and right, and we've seen things how they're being done outside of us. That is like, to us, it's super easy to, implement them and then make it happen. That's the idea. And this is why it's not just me. There's a lot like you. There's a lot of other young people that also decided, hey, this is my homeland. We can do this. We can go and restructure and we can bâtir pays, puis remonter avec tout bagay normal. Mais penser là, c'est l'arrivée que nous va vivre réalité c'est on le bagay complètement. And I'm an optimistic person to begin with, no matter what may happen. Persistence can get you far. Okay? No matter what. Mais OK, on va toujours joindre blockage. On va toujours joindre monde qui comme si qui narrow-minded, qui va comprendre rien du tout, qui va comprendre rien. Et puis c'est eux-mêmes qui voulaient pour yo monter sur vous, pour yo treat you a certain type of way or show you the ropes of how things. I remember working in a Caribbean hotel, and one of my staff member told me, Madame, l'autre côté, what on peut son pied? Faut qu'on son pied too. I said, really? God created me with 2 feet. I'm sorry, I am not impaired. I am not handicapped. I'm gonna stand on my 2 feet, whether they like it or not. And if you don't have this armor, Haiti will build the armor for you. If you don't have this armor up of knowing who you are, what you stand for, they will break you. They will break you from the inside out. You understand? Just because they don't want change. It's not because, first of all, they don't want change. They don't know themselves. They don't know who they are. And they're afraid of you coming in and making things better so that it doesn't, they don't want to show that they've been here, they haven't done anything. C'est comme si, ou vini, ou get tout ça qui a changé. Et pour commencer à implémenter le changement. Boss qui est bon, content parce qu'il y a payé au travail. Mais ça, qui a avantage pour faire travail pas faire là, et à toucher plus pas là, à bloquer pour travail là, parce que you're putting the truth out that they ain't doing nothing. While you don't know that's what you're doing, you just know you're working. Do you understand? So now you're creating enemies without having any idea that you are creating enemies. You just know you're working. You're doing your job. Vous comprenez ça? Oh, he said, I had to learn all this stuff the hard way. It was as if I've never been in a professional setting ever in my life working in Haiti, because it kind of showed me, and I've been saying this for the past 10 years, that Haiti, after everything, taught me what not to do. You can learn that too, You can learn what to do. You can also learn what not to do. That's very important, and there's no better way to do it than actually experiencing it. What not to do. It's very important. It was challenging. I had no friends, meaning dans le sens que m'pas aller me faire amis, mais on travaille en côté, on fonctionne en côté, on supposé pour à l'aise dans le sens, vous comprenez? Même si vous font travail, mais vous supposé go colleagues, you exchange and things like that. And I'm very open and whatnot, but they made it clear from the beginning that no, we don't like you. We don't like you. And listen, tak bella, c'est que m'a monté moto, sorti studio, monté canapé fait mal travail, moto matin, moto la nuit, m'a dormi sous chaise dans le travail là, m'a rentré de 6h du matin à 2h du matin le lendemain, ok? Parce que moi-même, là, bon, on doit pour faire, I don't care si tu payé $1, si tu payé $1000. Réputation, c'est ça qui est important. L'homme qui ton côté, il faut qu'on ait Madame Stael était là. C'est tout. Est-ce que vous comprenez? So I make sure I did that. Oh, c'est pas du diable manger l'autre.
I will go, I will go, I will go. Yes, me, I am loving this. I am loving this conversation because sometimes I need for people to hear it from another person. You must comprendre what it's taking for us to be in Haiti. Gen moun kap toujou mando, pou ki sa la pran toutan sa, ou te veze fè business sa, ou bagay ke sou la, nepot ki te kapot 1 an pou kampe pou fel, men an Haiti preske pou 15 an sou ka kampe, yo ba mette do ate. Même gens que Mika Ben te dit, Haïti c'est sous béton pour qu'on apprenne réalité. Parce que a lot of times, if you're not moving in the streets of Haiti, you're not going to understand what it means to be in Haiti. And you know, Haiti, and I even see it with some of the networking that I have now, it's also because Haitian people operate a lot from a lack mentality. It's that mentality of scarcity. It's that mentality of, oh no, Stael is coming. I'm not going to let her know everything because I don't want her to take everything. I remember one time my dad told me something because for me, but the problem that I was having was that I was getting fired crazy. It's like I would enter a place within 3 months. They would not necessarily say that you're fired. They would never say that, but they would say, you know, we don't have the money anymore. We don't have the budget. We can't. Because I was very outspoken. And if you're doing something and I'm realizing that, well, we could move like this. You know, we have the money for that. We could do this. But like you said, knowing I'm like, when you're sitting down, when you're tout idée ça, yo, que vous avez parlé, when you're business is come up, you release that thing. So all the big ideas that you have, they're not really trying to hear it. So of course, you know, I was a lot younger, you know, American people. So they were preferably trying to say things like, we no longer have the budget. And this is what, you know, launched my work. You know, I had it wasn't in my mind to have the agency and now to be a consultant, but there was no lane and no space for me in Haiti. I just couldn't move. And I remembered when I finally was able to understand Haiti, and thank God because I actually bought the 48 Laws of Power. And one of the laws which I find that is probably the first law is never outshine the master. And this is exactly what I was doing every place of employment. I was just too bright. And I remember my father said one time to me, she was like, if I was to your père, Rebecca, if I was to rentrer dans business, j'en parle, j'en campe. When you're travail. And I remember in one of the places that I was finally able to, because my mentality started to change. And I was like, I was like, you need to fall back, all the way back. Don't show everything that you can do because you are outshining these people. And then I had proposed something to these people. And I proposed it once in a meeting. And I proposed it twice in a meeting, and I realized that they were hearing me out, but they refused to do it. So I said, I'm not going to propose that anymore. I'm just going to go back. And I remember I was so upset because, you know, when you have good ideas, you can relate and you just see things and you're like, well, why are you not doing this? Like, it's like, we could do this. And I remember coming here and I was telling my dad, I was like, you know, this is what I did. This is what I said. My dad said, sometimes people just hire you and you got to learn how to not overstep the position that they give you. You got to learn how to just be quiet, just and keep the things to yourself. So I find that unfortunately it wasn't until later on down the road, but it was also because my father was paying a lot of attention and silently he was saying how, okay, like she's having a lot of difficulties. But it's also because many of us, we left Haiti as children. So now we're coming back as adults, as people who already have that work life experience. And like you said, like, in any sane, healthy work environment, you have colleagues, you exchange ideas. A business, like, it's so funny in a country like the United States, still now, if I'm applying for any type of work opportunity, what comes to my desk is so like people are amazed. They want to hire you. They're willing to pay for you. They're willing to listen. These people are willing, a good company, they're willing to back you up. But that's not the case in IT because these people are a lot working from the scarcity mindset. And perhaps, around that time, maybe the country was not ready for that. Maybe the country was not ready for people like yourself, people like myself. And unfortunately, look at the setback that we're having right now. It's kind of like a huge stretch. If you're thinking about it, 10 years, 2015, even before that, like 2011, 12, and now you have 2024, like they literally have us in our knees. Kako yung klase ng network, ayaw mo din, net, yung may tumusubundan net. And all of that is because I think mentality is stuck in the, I don't know which era, that collaborative, that let's work together, that, I'm not trying to outshine Stael. Stael is like a boss in herself. She's in her own lane. I'm seeing what she's doing. I'm seeing her value. I'm seeing her work ethic. And I really want to work with her. I really want to collaborate with her. So, we're just going to move this conversation in our own ways.
Let me
Now, I
say.
want to know. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
was just saying, like it's the education. It's really when it goes down to it all, is the education. Because what you just said is like, look how we're working. This is work. We're collaborating. You understand? You understand my value. I understand your value, and we're working together. You understand? But if we had that mindset, Haiti would not be where it is right now today. Even if it took 10 years to make it happen, it would be in a better place today than it is now. It's because not only just the education, the scarcity, it's like, comme si you're tellement mettez nous en position back against the wall qui fait que everybody is nitpicking in a way where they're like, oh, tu dois s'en bien là, pas tout le monde peut sortir pour venir prendre un bas même, vous comprenez? Parce que ce temps est pas ça, vous faire, vous le mettre ensemble pour jouer un espace encore plus bien chita, pour plus bien travail. Mais c'est pas ça les mêmes ouais, parce que yo pas levé au comme ça, yo mettre en position pour toujours always run after the crumbs than actually seeing the bigger picture, the actual table. You don't even think about you running after crumbs. How can you see the table? You understand? How can you see the feast that is waiting?
I'm just going to ask you from someone who, came to IT, lived in IT, with all of that, and now to looking at the progress. Like, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? To look at what's going on.
With what's going on in Haiti right now, honestly, it breaks my heart, which is why I don't really talk about it. Because first, I seen that I don't want to say propaganda, but it's something of the sort. Because chaque 10 ans, sous bien gardé, there's this rise and fall, rise and fall everywhere in the world, chaos everywhere. But Haiti, especially, it's like they're doing everything they can to have it just doing a downward spiral. No matter what little speck of light that may come out of there, they find a way to dim it, to shut it. You said it. You said it. Your dad told you ou toi pour yo. So qu'on a cherche moyen pour rebaisser ou just pour qu'à faire travail là. When in reality you were never supposed to do that. Never did in your life. This I've learned this while being in voodoo. Never did. And you told me that we focus more on our shortcomings than actually what our strengths are. And that's the thing we should never do. But the I should say the regime that has been going on in Haiti for the past since listen, I'm gonna be in my 40s, you're in your 40s, for the past 4 decades, it's been what we're seeing right now. It's if it's not this, it's that. If it's not that, it's that. But tout gens, c'est descendre nous. So quand vous arrivez, je pas focus sur lui encore pour quelle raison? Parce que moi, son fait esprit lié. Parce que je viens comprendre, c'est ça qui m'a au force. Attendez, si vous gagnez 5 personnes qui compte un seul ou même, comprendre you are the threat, comprendre you're the power, comprendre you are the light, comprendre you are the one that's shining bright than everybody else. And it takes a team of them to come against the one of you. You understand? Haiti have teams of different nations and countries and politicians and all that coming against it every single time. Only because depuis 200 ans de cela, nous décidons de dire, excuse my language, F you. We know our worth. We know who we are. We're not allowing this shit no more. And ever since that, they said, oh yeah, et mais nous parlons ça. Et puis depuis là, mais non. Même si nous avons fait un mouvement, avancement, nous faisons 2 pas en avant, nous faisons 10, 20 pas en arrière à chaque fois. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Et finalement, quand on arrive, c'est pour dire, bon, il y a pas de faire mon entrée sur l'autre pays. That's not going to change anything. C'est nous-mêmes. Et nous, pour changer. Et nous, pour réaliser force nous, pouvoir nous, qui est nous, côté nous sortir. Parce que, si par contre, quand on sortit, pas foutre quand on va aller, non. Si par contre, qui est nous, par contre, racine nous, par contre, non, tout quand on sortit, par contre, boyo Haïti, si par contre, Haïti qui se à boyo. Si par contre, boyo, comment faire qu'on est? On comprend rien. So, c'est nous-mêmes, côté pour nous arriver pour nous dire, c'est ça, fini, c'est fini là. Vous comprenez? Et bien, pour même pour commencer à changer tout ça qu'a fait, parce que l'éducation, non, c'est l'éducation française, européenne. So, depuis dans la base, yo caso, mentalement là, so, comme vous faites pour connaître pour peut-être pas. Ou par contre, qui est-ce qui désaline? Ou par contre, qui est-ce qui monde qui te forefathers ou foremothers ou qui te gourmet pour vous, qui suicide des têtes, yo, pour qu'arriver là. Ou par contre, rien de rien. Vous comprenez? Ou par contre, culture, ou par contre, qui habite mon sous-mété, ou par contre, qui est-ce, par contre, rien, par contre, cool, ça veut dire, we are blind, completely blind. And it's the blind leading the blind. So, comment vous voulez pour vraiment faire un avancement, même si vous mettez un monde, regardez comment tous les jeunes, pas dire que c'est bon pour ça qui a existé, mais par contre, t'es une tête, non sens, il te pensé que il était bien entouré, que t'es qu'à faire un changement. Mais si vous gagnez un monde avec 12 millions de monde qui va faire rien du tout, vous comprenez? Chances are it's very slim that you're gonna find ways to do a change. But yet he's also doing the change while he's on the other side. Because it took him to die for all this chaos to take place, for us to start to wake up. Vous comprenez? So c'est tout ça, c'est comme moi-même t'ai dit, d'ici 50 ans, ma pour un changement en Haïti, mais c'est dommage. I don't have that faith anymore. It's sad to say. Even though we are doing the work outside of Haiti, and some of us who still in Haiti, we are doing the work, travail en pile. Travail là tellement pile, ou pas imaginer. Je ne pas dire que nous pas privé, non. Un jour, même pas comme à get en moi-même. Because when you really go down to the nitty-gritty of it all, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of brainwashing that we gotta do, nettoyage de cervelle, pour nous comprendre vraiment vrai force courage. Et même si m'ta dit, nous gagne génération qui venir, bon paquet là qui poser question, qui chercher connaître, qui fouiller dans le canal, qui chercher comprendre des bagailles. Mais si pays a une opportunité pour entrer pour faire, même si vous fouillez ou faire recherche pour recherche, like you said, if you don't apply it, it doesn't amount to anything. You know what I mean? You just have all the knowledge sitting there. You can't do anything with it. And that's even more frustrating, is knowing that you've done the work. You know the work. You know what is needed to be done, but yet you can't go. You can't do it. They're blocking you. Because c'est pas bon seulement pour faire, c'est nous tous. Ni diaspora, ni haïtien qui l'autre bon pour nous décider, pour nous dire, you know what? That's it. We're taking over. Whatever happens, we're taking over. We can't be afraid to die. That's what bagay. Le rappel en moi, non? C'est pour perdre ou pas mettre en fait.
You know what? I knew that conversation that I was going to have with you was going to be another conversation because we really did not start that. Like everything went so like smoothly, and I was like, watch how this conversation is going to come out because I felt so that last night I ended up sleeping so late because it was great. And then, but I just felt like today the conversation was what would be needed. Now, I remember when I sent you this voice, I said to you, Stael, I don't really want to say too much into this because this new wave of glamorize would be for me. because I don't really find myself in the whole how people are. Because they do all the time, but that's what I want people to understand. But hearing music, it actually fuels my own motivation. When we talk about the fact that we are still where we are because the work has not been done from the previous generation. And it has not been done from the previous generation because these are the generations who were colonized. So they literally were also individuals who were not okay to showcase who they are. They were also individuals that they taught them that, practicing voodoo and talking about voodoo is kind of no, the whole Catholic perspective. Many of us who are in my maybe between all the way to like, I'm going to say the early 30s to like, the 50s, but those Catholic very religious Christians. So we didn't have the opportunity to even know, like people telling us about voodoo was like an insult. Basically it was an insult. Are you here? Are you here? Okay, okay. So you have thumbs up. So now I just feel like, this was the weapon that people needed. I just really feel like it was the weapon that people needed to wake up. Because if you sou pal nan combat ou pa kon ki esouye, y ap manjou. Wè sa mwen te la, soldat kouche pal nan combat. How the hell you gonna fight with people who know more than you about yourself? People who are utilizing things that you are naturally born with. People that are utilizing gifts that are ancestral for you. And then they are literally weaponized these things, teaching you that, oh, it's no good, you should not look into that, this is wrong. Meanwhile, this is, you embody that. Every Haitian person, no matter who you are, no matter the generation that you are, you are embodying ancestral. And one of the things that this year I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be free with my spirituality, even though I have not yet talked about it, because I feel like, it's not like what is there to talk about, but it's like this is who we are. Like, what is there to question? Like, don't actually hear me talking about that because this is who you are. This is what I am. I just decided that, okay, but the spiritual work that has been done for a long time. And it gets me to be, at times very angry at my own time. It's like, you guys knew that this path was open. Even when I came to Haiti, I looked at my mother and said, you already knew what was going on. So why is it that you had to not talk about it? Why is it that there was no open conversation? Why is it that there were so many things that were hidden? Because at the end of the day, if you are not open and receptive for that path to open, then what are you doing? Because a lot of us are called. This is it. Sometimes it's a calling. I've been going back and forth until I said, I'm doing this. I'm not happy over there. This is not for me. No matter the job, no matter the money, no matter what it opens up, my heart is not there. So that's a lesson to that ancestor called you, which is calling you back, and there is no going around it. Otherwise, you are miserable until the end of time. You are miserable. Your life can become hectic. Your life can become chaotic because you are not aligning to your own path, right? So to see this whole Biden administration and the amount of Haitian people that are fleeing Haiti, the amount of Haitian people that are leaving Haiti, even from a whole spiritual perspective, parce que at the end of the day, nèg yon kote yon la pratike sa la pratike an. Et si li pa son te ki pa pou li se fok la protection le te, ou gen tout bagay la, ki vide, kote moun va fè, kote moun va fè manje pou la Guinée, et puis kote fè travail le sous Stael, if you think everybody keep living, you keep living like this, who the hell is going to do this work? These lands, même si you actually you're not travail, because it's like you got to understand that it's culturally speaking, your country is imbalanced. And if you don't rebalance your country, if you don't come together with your country, where is that going to leave you? So in a way, even though I understand when you say things like you don't see it, I'm going to tell you based on your work, based on me seeing you and seeing how you embody produce, seeing how we were raised together, but seeing how you like recently last week you did a beautiful dance for who's in the top, and it's kind of like I feel like people who are in our social classes because we just have to say it the way it is. C'est toujours malheureusement moun qui pauvre, qui était toujours comme qui classique, aucun niveau beau. C'est tout le monde fait, c'est bien là, that's just the way it is. But I feel like what it does for the new generation is that, by really saying that, okay, you know what, this is who I am. I'm embodying who I am. I'm going to do what I'm doing. It teaches the next generation to say, okay, you know what, let me really ask questions. It teaches the next generation to go down the lane and to look for those, resources, those opportunities to ask those questions. And this is why, maybe, yeah, if we get us some way is that nous va jamais tomber because history tout ce média tout ce that no lasting profound in the world. So it's like they could try they could try to diminish us, they could try to break it down, they could try of the word. But being it's empowerment to the next level. The only thing that we need to learn, I'm gonna say this, that other generation, they are lost. So it's like, I'm not even talking to them. Another generation, it's like, you are a lost kid. If I win at the game, it's going to about it, like, after the concept, it's something. But I do have faith in our generation because we are doing things. I feel like, we are teaching otherwise. I feel like, we bring different resources. It's so much, as you said, when you said that, you were talking about it. It's so much not an easy word because I'm looking at it like I just turned 40, and it's kind of like I really just hated over 10 years of my life, just teaching, just empowering, just kind of like really fighting for IT. And it's kind of like sometimes you get not even scared. You look back and you're like, did I choose to fight? Because looking at the state of this country, the way that they were able to drag this country back, it's kind of like, voilà, loaded, je me back.
Mais c'est pour ça qu'on fait ça. C'est pour qu'on give up même, oui. Yo fait pour give up parce que si nous tous peut-être ensemble vraiment pour changement en fait, la fête, même si le travail là en pile, je mets en long, mais la fête pareil, nous devons nous arriver pour nous joindre quand même. Mais là, fait ça, c'est pour qu'à décourager. Quand pour je dire, ouais, tout le monde qui a quitté qui parle dans le programme, même petit peu de diable, il a quitté l'or, puis il a pris paillette, il va pas comprendre. Et bon côté comme si ou fait ça tout hypocrite ou pas qu'à parler tout pour raison parce que on n'a pas être là. Est-ce qu'on s'en dit là mais c'est pas vouloir n'a pas être là, pas vouloir là nous voulons tout dans l'or mais ou pas gain opportunité pas gain possibilité pour dans l'or. Si t'es pour même pas gain ti moun. On pas ici là présentement même. Gain nous boda, vous comprenez? Gain dire là c'est ça qui nous les affaires yo, mais ou bon chose obligé préparer. Vous comprenez parce que c'est lui-même qui parle le futur de M. Dieu. On capable ouais les gens disent là. Pas dire pas changer non, mais la prend temps pour le changer parce que non seulement n'a gourmet à tête nous pour nous parce que when you're doing the shadow work l'autre travail pour remove all the crap that was built and forced and programmed into you, that alone takes time for you to trust yourself and trust who you are and why you are here before you can actually put forth that light and have somebody else go, oh, well, she can do it, I can do it too. Or he can do it. Before you get to that point, you got to do the work within you. Yes, I'm showcasing my spirituality, abroad now, everywhere, but I have been doing this for years, even way before I went back to Haiti. I've been asking the question openly since 2012. I've been searching way before that. C'est comme, des petits monde toujours senti que non ça mieux et pas salier, pas ça te supposé. ou forcer un Bible dans moi-même que pourquoi je me comprendre ni, ou forcer mal l'église, c'est chita dormir dans Dieu. Il va dire rien. Vous comprenez là? So I've been asking questions, and I've been asking questions that no one, even priests, I have one of my uncle who passed away was a priest, couldn't answer. You understand? So it's just like something that's been within me. And like I said, 4 decades later, here I am now understanding that la base of what it is to be a spiritualist. Sans mettre voodoo derrière. Anybody, everybody is spiritual. We all came from spirit source. Now, who you are individually because of culture or tradition, that is completely different. How you want to project that or share it is all about perspective. You understand? But at our base, no, we all are spiritualists. But even that, most people cannot comprehend. They'd rather be in the matrix of just being a human. And then spirituality is something that they use or they utilize or they apply when they need something, when they want something, when they're searching for something, rather than just be it to begin with. That's why I said the work is a lot, because you gotta unwind, you gotta unlearn everything that you learned while you were alive, that your parents, you know, passed down onto you, your grandparents passed down onto you, because all that you are undoing, you are also undoing some of the work that they did. You understand? Yes, they did a lot of things that allowed us to be here. We're all grateful for that. But we cannot be all in la la land and pretend like they didn't also fuck up. Do you understand? That they didn't also do certain things that got us to be depressed, that got us to be, like all of this thing is tradition. Is learn comes at the toxicity or things that behavior, attributes that we picked up along the way that allowed us to actually be who we are today. And when you are unlearning things, you are also you have to detach yourself. You have to unlearn things from the people that your intimate surroundings, and that also can create this gap in between you and the people that you looked up to, and make you in confusions about who you are, where you come from, and everything. And you look at them like they're liars. They mistreated you. They did this. There's so much that goes in, understanding who you are. It takes a lot, and you really have to be. What's what I'm looking for? You have to be firm. You have to be strong in your faith and knowing that you're doing this for a reason. The sacrifice that you're putting yourself in, you're doing it because it's not just about you. It's about you and everybody else that's coming after you, because you literally are the point of change. You're the point of shift. You understand? So it's a lot. So if you're doing all this work for you alone, imagine now you got to go out there and help everybody else do it. It's a lot of energies. It's a lot of spirits coming at you that are confused, that don't know, that's angry, that's upset. Mon paquet moun de qui pa manger, qui souffrir pour qui raison, et pas c'est pays qui fait ça, non? Ces ancêtres, est-ce que vous comprenez? C'est manque d'éducation, c'est manque de compréhension qui est sur eux. So tout ça, là, l'arrivée au niveau, vous comprendre, c'est ça qui fait ça, yo, en effet, mais ça frustre, il cherche un bagage dedans qui faut comme si t'as crasé, brisé. Et même les gens qui l'entourage, qui soi-disant dit qui c'est bon monde, ou est-ce à cause de eux qui font dans niveau ça, ou voulez manger autour. So, faut travailler ça tout pour comprendre que, at some point, everybody was blind. At some point, everybody did not know. Even though they knew, they did not know. So you got to work on forgiveness. You got to work on healing. All of that in order to propel. Otherwise, you stay stagnant. You stay stuck. You know what I mean? Ça fait un petit travail là en pile. La privée, oui. C'est tout rêve moi ça. Pour le river, et m'ta vle ouais. Pas bon menti. M'ta vle ouais. On monde, surtout Haïti, pour regarder comme si côté nous vivons comprendre. Nous saluons l'une l'autre. You are the daughter to my Freda. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? You are the Freda to my daughter. Do you understand that? Pour regarder pour comprendre mon niveau ça, son big gros bagay lié. Vous comprenez? So pour nous arriver à niveau ça, pour ensemble dans net arriver, même si tu as dit c'est Port-au-Prince qui majorité tout problème dans le pays, mais en dehors à tout, oui yo connecté, oui yo levé joindre, oui yo consacré des votes de société, mais you have to live in both worlds in order to have balance. Ou pas juste rester coincé in the boondocks, hiding away and not understand what's going on in order to have a community, a nation move forward. You have to have the balance of both. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Parce que nous pas gagner l'école. Nous pas gagner l'école. Nous pas gagner communauté. Nous pas gagner centre culturel. Nous pas gagner bibliothèque. Nous pas gagner musée. Nous pas gagner un paquet de bagages qui pour mettre nous pour attirer l'éducation ça qui dit c'est ça c'est moi-même. Nous pas gagner patrimoine ça du tout qui pour montrer que mais qui est mais côté de sortir et ça nous gagne yo veut faire la trine là-dedans. Hein? Yo veut écraser yo veut briser yo, c'est pas possible. Comment pouvez pour qui peut pour y sous pas gagner qui pour démontrer ça, sous pas gagner pour nous grands Haïti, on ka dit on soit from changer m'ta dans musée, m'ka que c'est mon pana c'est comme ça relais. Mais je me rappelle de rien là, il pas vraiment il pas construit comme si qui t'es frappé au niveau pour me dire wow, I remember this, I remember that. On se bat avec les femmes de CCF, c'est usine Mango même pas bon aussi. On usine Mango même qui frappe jusqu'à nos jours. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Parce que ma vie aux États-Unis, ma Lincoln Monument, wal Capitol, wal White House, wal tout côté ça qui présentait un monument dans le pays qui pour faire comprendre mes histoires pays. Quel que soit le menti ou pas, yo gagne là, yo vénéré, yo adoré, yo utilisé, yo servi avec tout gens pour yo entrer yo incliner dans mémoire dans tête pour connaître qui est qui était là, qui est fait des bagages. Mais nous-mêmes, vous comprenez? N'a appris en français, n'a écrit en français, n'a pensé en créole, ça marche pas. Vous comprenez ça me dit non? Il va fonctionner du tout. So, tout ça aussi ça fait me dire que oui, il a fait mais il prend temps et nous-mêmes qui a fait travail ça qui dit que les gens qui va parler de spiritualité parce que il est toujours considéré tabou dans des familles qui va dire que connaît ça aux autres c'est ces autres c'est là ou bien que c'est tel qu'on a mangé ou bien c'est comme vous comprenez 2024 c'est pas éclair pour est-ce que vous comprenez? C'est comme, we still, even those stigmas we gotta get rid of. That's the first thing we gotta get rid of. Is letting understand people know that that's not it. We can go Catholic, Orthodox, Jewish, Protestant, Hindu, Bouddhiste, et pour mal secteur pire que tout le monde qui existe dans le monde. Ça n'a rien à voir avec vous. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Mais tout le monde a fait en cachette. Tout le monde a fait en cachette. Et puis, ou même vous dire, ouais, c'est malheur, et l'autre qu'on fait, c'est vaudou. Ma tante me dit, j'en pense que grand nègre t'es dans niveau ça vaudou Jean yo montré comme si c'est malheureux puis à tête et sale dans la boue qui te qu'on fait parce que grand nègre là puis infiltré puis raide dans vaudou qui est malheureux yo juste fait la fait que chaque année au déjà font réunion familiale bullshit loi bail manger est-ce que vous comprenez gros compagnie Haïti gros business gros banque yo y a fait gros fête yo hein il fait sacrifice chaque année sous qu'on connaît, sous qu'on l'a là, est-ce que vous comprenez? Mais, moun qui connaît qui ça crée les vaudous tout bon vrai. Les parents savent, ils pas jouer avec. Ils utilisent tout gens pour l'avancer. Et puis, les même ils m'ont encore qu'à fort pelle. Même ils m'ont encore qu'à fort rejeter. Même ils m'ont encore qu'à fort ignorer. Pour qui raison? Contrôle. Yo, papa, y a contrôle parce que contrôle là bon pour yo. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Et pour même, ou était ou payer en bas. Mais comme payer à Gemet, on va prêter sous ça longtemps, non, mais comme payer à Gemet, il va foutre fini comme ça. Et ça fait ouais, tout le temps ça a fait là, peut-être qu'à mettre mes soins pour capable, parce que payer à Gemet. I travel through most of the Caribbean, Tortola, the US Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, and you find that all these islands, again, US, British, French, St. Thomas, St. Martin, all of them are colonized still, even though they claim to be free. When you go in there, it's like you're walking into a little Miami. McDonald's are everywhere. The corporations are everywhere. It's no longer the island. It's taking over. All the tourism, the cruise ship that comes through, or for the lack of a better word, Caucasian people that just pour in. When you go to trying to have a local meal at a restaurant to eat their food and understand their culture, you don't find it. You find chicken wings, you find burgers, you find fries. Do you understand? So even though they're Caribbean islands, but they are literally being taken over. And all the locals that live on that island are in the States. most of if the population is 35,000 people, you will have 5,000 locals. The rest are all étrangers. Qui dit que yo marché fait ça tout côté. Ça dit?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yo marché fait ça tout côté. On a là c'est seul Haïti qui yo prend la capable. Yo capable.
You know what? Second what you're saying, and no locality superstar because it's really important for people to understand that. If they're crazy, they're going to remain crazy. But if you're talking to the IT, they could try as much as they can. Since unfortunately the education of the population has not been trained. So you have to maintain something and I will be affected there. Haiti will perhaps in the next time around remain their steady pace to do what they do. The side of blip white thing is people know without some the way that they would want to I to have paid the best in me. To be about the IT mention you're never going to see it. And I don't understand why they don't comprehend it. And it's even kind of like it's not even frustrating, alarming to say the least, because you have so many Haitian people who would say things like, oh, I'm États-Unis mais acheté Haïti, États-Unis mais Haïti. You know, and it's kind of like, are you really serious? Like this is the kind of like the thanks that you want to give to ancestors who fought and who shifted an entire history. You know, I think in the first Black Republic, literally shifted an entire history. And there's so many things that you said. Because last weekend was the Mother's Day for Haiti. 2024 has been one of the hardest years for me because it's the year of anger. It's the year of also that I have to do a lot of relief. But it's the year where I just feel like, were you, just looking at my family, looking at, the structure, I'm like, but were you really trying to hold me back? Is that what you were trying to do when you were not teaching me what I was supposed to know? So you have this, and those family conflicts now with those of us now who are embodying our ancestors or who are saying like, no, fuck that. Like this is not the route for me. I'm not going there. I'm just going in that direction. But now you have to do the work where it's kind of like, do you forgive these people who raised you but they didn't know better? And I remember on Mother's Day, you had a beautiful post because you honored your mother, you honored that you you honored the and you said, okay, underneath the post, we were talking about how, like, when truth are coming, we have to be able to understand that these people didn't have the things that we have. We have to be able to understand that these people didn't have, the resources or they could not embody in what we are now being able to embody because, it was still that, that level of this taboo, talking about. It was still a level of, like, we really don't want to talk about that. And, being the generation that we feel like, okay, you know what, if you have to be successful as individuals, and if we have to be successful collectively, we have to break down those barriers. It is time for us to embody who we are as Asian people. Because otherwise, where is the strength as a nation? Otherwise, how do we move forward as a nation, right? So it's like this conversation are so needed because, I'm just at this point a little bit tired of all this constantly having to talk and reach up and talk and say like, no, some conversations, our parents, let's just be honest. Yes, let's honor Haitian people. Let's say Happy Mother's Day, but let's look at our mothers and understand that, they too caused a lot of damage. They too, stopped us from being the best that we could have been in life. They too from, maybe wanting to protect us, but definitely made it harder for us to become those bigger trailblazers. Like when I look at my mom, I just knew that, at the minute that I came back to Haiti, I knew that she was on it. Like, God, no, di somewhere, lah. And I knew that behind the scenes, she was finally putting some work like, no, you're going to have to go back there, keep finding like, but it's also, I understand because now that I am working in this field in Haiti, it's not a job ship. Tupagen dead. They're taking you out. Look at this is what happens to those men. So you understand that, and you're fighting your own. You're not fighting the white motherfuckers. Excuse the French. You're fighting your own. You're literally fighting these Haitians. That are, it's like their mind is filled with power. But what power? Power for you to have houses that every time some shit happens, you gotta run to Miami. Every time some shit happens, you gotta fly out. You can't. There's no hospital. I mean, I don't even want to go into the madness that Haiti has been experiencing in the last 2 years. But it's kind of like when you're looking at it in those type of like perspectives, we understand. Like I understand why a mom could feel like, no, I birthed you, babe. I'm not about to bury you. I birthed you, so I do not want it the other way around. So this is why if I can see right here in the Kakusa to stop you from going there, because I'm not about to bury my child. So those are perspectives, but this is when, as an adult, we have to realize that for me, I'm just like, it is what it is. There's no going around it. That's the path. If that's the path, then that's where I'm going. So right now, I'm in this place in my life that, baby, if you test my grill, I'm putting you down 6 feet below. I'm not even joking with you. Don't even test me on that level because what's coming out for you, you won't even see. Don't play games with me like that because, just looking at the way that this dog out this president and no country stood out for us. No country came out. No, there was nothing. They took this guy out like he was a nobody. So that says a lot as a Haitian person that I feel like all of us need to reflect on. You need to sit back and reflect on all of that. Ooh, I needed to say all of that.
Trust me, but I want to say something though about your relationship with your mom, because your mom is like a mom for me. I forever I've known her since I've been alive. I've known your mom. So given that I'm in a miss, they always say you cannot heal in the same space that got you sick. You understand? So people can interpret that in so many different ways. Meaning you're right now you're in the same household space. You share in the same household space with the person that you have mixed feelings about, if I may say, because of the fact that you're still searching for who you are while you're looking at the path that you took. You're like, well, you knew better. How come you did not do this? But did she know better? Because that's what you have to see. It's not to forgiveness is not to forgive them. It's to forgive you, to understand that whatever path that you are on is the path for you, because where you're destined to be, no matter what may happen or to take turn or detour, whatever, you will always be where you're meant to be. You understand that? It's that's not going to change. The only thing is that's going to change is how you go about it, which is always, you don't focus on the result, you focus on the journey, right? You enjoy the journey, you go through it. But what dawned on me as to why, because I left. I took my child and I kidnapped my child. I left without nobody knowing in the middle of the night. And I said, fuck all y'all. I'm out this bitch. When I just started understanding everything, I started waking up to things. That was 3 years ago in the middle of COVID, okay? I had no idea what's going. I took him and I said, I'm not staying here because y'all, the energy, the intention is not coincided with who I am and who I'm supposed to be. And y'all been holding me down my entire life and I did not know it. I said, I'm out. But I went out there in the middle of the ocean by myself with the kid in my hand with no one to help me. And let me tell you, I found out. Because when you are a mother and you have a little one, like, that you have to support, that you have to raise, and they can't fend for themselves, especially if you are not, what can I say, a veteran at it, you're just getting started, you're just understanding what it is. Every aspect of you tells you to do things that you don't even know why you're doing them. You understand? Because of simple fact that you must protect, you must provide, you must be, you must, shield. You have to be everything for that child, no matter what may happen around you. Especially if you didn't have that kind of guidance to begin with, because before you become a mother, you were a young woman just starting to figure out what life is. And motherhood happens, it's like you're no longer your young woman now. It's all about this person now that you gotta raise and help become themselves. while you haven't finished raising yourself yet. You haven't even, explored your full potential. And some people don't even think about that, especially Haitian parents, that it's the child that usually allows them to become the better selves of who they're supposed to be. That the child comes in to make them better. But the Haitian mentality goes, ou fait ti moun nan pi yo geri pos koso do. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Yo fait ti moun nan pi yo hypothéqué. Même fait tout le vie hypothéqué après de bail ça. Ah, mal hypothéqué juste parce que on va faire ça pour yo. Ah, ouais, bah, est-ce que vous comprenez? So, ou le avec mentalité que, oh, it's up to me to carry the load. It's up to me to do this, to do that. But in reality, that's not what you're here for. You are here to assist them. You are here to help them figure themselves out while they're guiding you to this realm, because everybody comes here with the knowing. Everybody comes here with the essence within themselves. It's not the parents that taught you who you are. You came knowing who you are. It's the traditions of how they do things that somehow get you lost and forget who you are. That when you get older, you have to go back and try to find. Do you understand? But they don't know that because they too had to go through the same thing. Because chaque période, chaque génération, gon bagay qui marque yo, qui différent de l'autre là. Vous comprenez? So, ou pas jamais comprendre qui ça esclavage la terre duré dans l'époque ça parce que pas passer la donne. Ou ka gon idée parce que on traverser un autre style d'esclavage mental plus que physique là. Est-ce que vous comprenez? So qui vient faut qu'avoir une idée de ça de comprendre. Mon pas jamais qu'à expériencer. So yo même tout des bagages que on apprend aujourd'hui là que pas jamais comprendre, pas jamais connaître parce que yo pas gain espace ça pour te vivre li. Tu know what I'm saying? Et que peut-être qu'il était plus mal pour eux que ou même pas ou ka gérer pour le moment. So là commence à comprendre. You step in, I call them different portals of life. You step in different generation, different timeline, different frequency, different vibration, and you're trying to understand. Who make a position pour dire, who am I to judge? Who am I to hold grudges? Who am I to criticize anything or anybody? All I can do now is take everything that I've understood, everything that had happened, and see where I am and use what's necessary, let go of what doesn't serve me anymore, and then move forward so that the next generation that I'm growing, whether it's my own kid or my nephews or my cousins or whoever it may be, to have a better path. That's all you can do. And this is where the forgiveness comes in. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna hold grudges, j'en dis là, ou vin laid, ou soit perd du temps, ou you stay in that, like angry mindset, and you don't realize it, but everything around you just becomes dark. You find yourself in more depression state. You're not moving properly because I was there. If I can talk about it, they like when I fume matin midi soir même, pas perdu. Malgré m'te choisi comment pour m'te faire, mais I had something to fall back on just so that I wouldn't go crazy with all the information and the knowledge that was coming at me all at once, right? While I was still living in the same situation that I was in that got me where I am to begin with. I got sick. I got cancer from that. You understand? So, girl, so all of these things, at some point, you got to go, okay, put me in their position. Tu sais fait, on fait même bagarre pour protéger tête, pour protéger petit tout toujours capable. Et puis j'étais à l'époque ça qu'on fait, c'était caché parce que les blancs venaient, colonisateur venaient avec zam avec bagaille avec bible la forcer down your throat, yo tuer, yo violer, yo fait génocide tout gens. Est-ce que nous pour soit protéger tête ou pas l'ouvrir corps pour dire pour bagaille? Non, ou gen ti moun ou gen 2 3 4 ti moun pour occuper, c'est au moment papa, yo bon bible là, ou prend bible là. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Yo dit faut aller l'église ou à l'église. Et puis on va faire affaire pour là en cachette qu'on a pour protéger ti moun remet parler, ti moun remet partager, ti moun remet parce que they don't know any different of the world, they just know that it's love. So if you know that they're not supposed to talk about certain topic in school or wherever they are, and if they do, they're risk of losing their life, so what do? You don't tell them. You just don't tell them. You know it. You practice it. They wake up seeing you. Lever chaque matin, moi, grand cap vile café. Chaque matin à terre pour les morts. Chaque matin, sans mettre, sans ouéter. Il va jamais se dé. Mais est-ce que ça te dit? Jamais de la vie. Pas jamais pour ça te dit. Il va jamais chita pour expliquer où ça te dit. Mais chaque jour, il fait café, il met mon libre café sur terre. On ti kwe bon bassin tout le temps, même côté. Mais pas jamais dit ça, il dit. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Si vous avez un t'a dit, grand mère te conservé, m'a dit, pas vrai. Mais le moment qu'on a vu comprendre ça, me dit, oui, il te fait le même. Il te fait de voile. J'étais qu'à faire chaque jour pour cette pour les mots, mais pas jamais je t'ai expliqué pour dire, mais pourquoi ça j'étais qu'à faire? Est-ce que vous comprenez? Parce que à l'époque, s'il te fait ça, si mon était risqué mourir, si mon était risqué prendre des coups de manchette, coups de bâton, vous comprenez? Parce que si tu dis mon ça, on peut parler dehors, on peut pas aller dans l'autre dire, oh mon Dieu, le gars, ou lieu. Maman était c'est le gars, maman était c'est et puis qu'on a la sortie de tout problème pour so faut qu'à well dans niveau ça, gade moun par contre c'est peut exprès oui. You pas fait on purpose. Why? Because this is another topic for another day. But there's an aspect of jealousy between mothers and daughters. And we're gonna leave it at that. Surtout nos comités par nous. Okay?
No, we're not going to leave it at that. We're going to fix it. It's important. And I love the way that this conversation is happening because that weekend was powerful for me. It was Mother's Day, and I almost cut off all of their heads here in the South. You know? And I know that my mother was shocked because I did not greet her for her birthday. I did not say happy birthday to her. And I did not say happy Mother's Day to her. You know, and it took me a lot not to say some very, very harsh words to her. And it's painful to talk about because at 40, my mother was already a mother of four with everything. She had already the school, her husband, her everything. And when I look back into a lot of my siblings, it's only my sister who is a married woman with her own house. I feel like all of my mother's children are struggling, you know, and somewhere I feel like as a parent, I feel like as also a matriarch, I feel like she failed us because it's kind of like at some point for she t'a pou gade pou wè ke petit ou pa avanse jan ke ou ta vle yo avanse, where is that? That's an ancestral blockage somewhere. So you gotta sit with yourself and figure that shit out. I just feel like for me, with my lane, she just kind of like, she saw me going for everything that I was going for, and she literally remained silent. And it's not necessarily because she remained silent that I'm angry, but it's because I felt like she came at me in that spiritual warfare and she brought it to me. And now that because to become someone who is sitting down in front of spirit, you got to do the work. And I was able between 2016 and 2018 to definitely go through my rite of passage with spirit who elevated me. So when I look at my mother, sometimes I really don't see a mother. I see you as my enemy. And I told them all the time, if you guys are coming for me as my enemy, you're going to meet my match, bitch. I'm going to fight. And don't do this to me. So I feel like now she's at the space where it's kind of like I'm giving you the respect, but maybe also because it's like I'm still living with them. And I do feel like me living with them has still a lot to do with conversations that are not happening. Hold up, because the reality is that, okay, this is probably getting a little too personal, but moment konen ke gen let bagay ki pou fè, and di konen ke tout à fait ou pa kampe bo kote pou fè sa pou fè a pa gen harmoni ka fè. So why are you not doing it? So why are you not doing what you're supposed to do? Because at the end of the day, get on the moment by that. If you're not doing the work that you're supposed to be doing as the person that you were, I mean, at some point, where are we going to like elevate? So last weekend, you know, it was one of those weekends where sometimes there was a lot of build up, there was a lot of emotion. You know, this year was hard because it's kind of like she had her sister who came here. It was like all of them, you know, they really were at my throat. You know, it was kind of like all the way back over even tout balade money la paille la pour nous faire disparaître devant the gym now, okay? Because I'm on there with you guys, you know. So I'm not about, you know, sitting there trying to back me like, you know, so, but it's also kind of like still looking at my parents like they are agents. So you have to be the support. You have to be that backbone for them. But it's not, you can all the shit that we got to go through. It's kind of like, I still have to make sure that you guys are okay. I still have to pray for you guys. And it's kind of like, but it's like, you know, these Haitian people are crazy at the end of the day. My aunt, the thing with me is kind of like I feel like God blessed me because I left Haiti when I was 15. So 15 all the way to like 26, I stayed with my aunt. And just last year, as you saw your grandma, I saw my 15 do all these things. But the good thing is that my 15, when it was time for me to ask those questions, she allowed me to ask those questions and she was open to answer. She was open to coach me. She was open to teach me. You know, I remember to go back to my childhood. I love Lala. I remember when I was a kid, they literally would have to lock barrière because I would shrink my dancer. But guess what? My grandmother learned entièrement c'est bon à sa défilé pour lui because she loved it. So it's like all these things that you try that you find it out about your lineage, you find it out about who you are as an individual. Côté ça sorti dans l'âge, ça sorti dans who you are. So if it's not talk about how the hell are you going to progress in this life? If you guys are keeping your mouth shut, how the hell are you going to progress? Now, do you really love me? Like, do you really love me? Now, of course, there's so many other factors with it because when you're even going down and you're looking at family stuff and you're looking at how people are using those same divinities to use other people, I can see how my mom would feel like, you know what, I actually have had you in a different country because I really did not want you to have to deal with all this mess. I did not want you to deal with the spiritual warfare that comes with, what you're looking for. So I can, detach from those emotions and understand that because, it's not a joke, that whole spiritual life, spiritual warfare it's really not a joke. So I do understand when, our families, our parents are feeling like, okay, how much do I say? Do I say anything? Do I not say anything? Do I still? Because at the end of the day, I don't think like my mom ever looked at me as a grown woman. I feel like she still looks at me as her child. So and that factor, she's looking at it like, I don't care what you say, that's just the way it is. Yeah, so those conversations
No,
are
no, it's
needed.
good, but this is needed in our community, especially our generation, because you're not the only one going through it. I was not the only one going through it. I believe if not 99% of our generation is going through exactly what you're going through, what I went through, because they're in the process of finding out who they are and also trying to stay connected with the elders. It's a tough spot to be in, but it's necessary because if they're dead, there's nothing you can do about it. But when they're still alive, what's happening is my boys. So when they Tati Rich, and my mom said deux secs devant ensemble, pour ça tout le temps ensemble. Tati Rich considère comme à peu près. Mais c'est comme when you're telling her something that she did to you back then that really shaped you in a different way that you didn't even understand then until you are grown down and realize, oh, that's what happened as to why I lack self-esteem there, or as to why I didn't think I was beautiful enough. And then when you tell them that, they get so offended, as if like you took a knife and you plunged it in their heart, because it was as if like they're your parents, they're supposed to be put up on a pedestal forever and always. They don't do anything wrong, they've never done anything wrong, and they did the best with you and whatnot, and you cannot talk back to them, you cannot tell them anything else because they know better and you don't. And that is the problem, because you have to, it comes down to when you want freedom, you don't ask for it, you just take it. So you have to put your foot down and let them know, like, no, this is what it is. Whether you like it or not, I am going to tell you what happened, because that is what's healing me and allowing me still to have conversation with you and allowing me still to still be okay with you. And you have to hear it whether you like it or not, because it's my truth. It happened. You understand? And when I said that sometimes mothers are jealous of their daughters, is because she's watching you being everything you can and want to be. Do you understand? And she couldn't do it. She didn't have the balls enough to do it. She wasn't strong enough to go against the grain and get it done and be what she knows she can be or she's supposed to be. She fell back and followed the crowd and followed she conformed herself rather than being a non-conformist. And you are here doing the complete opposite. You're a rebel from jump. You understand? So, of course, faut toujours bon, on clash parce que comme ça, c'est comme si il pas gain contrôle sur. So, si pas gain contrôle sur, il pas qu'à dire ça pour faire, il pas qu'à, comme si, pour dire comme ça que, et si tu arrives au tombeau côté, au tombeau l'autre, au tombeau l'autre, il va dire, oui, mes amis, mes amis, mes amis, mes amis. Et vous comprenez? C'est comme si tu as dit, they're so focused on the validation of society, of outside, rather than actual what it's supposed to be, that they stay connected. Comment est-elle va le web? Comment pas dire que ça? Comment pas ceci? And that's the problem. That's pretty much the basic of it all. On va écrire très simple. Personal. My mom is going to a friend's party. I wasn't gonna go there. I said I'm gonna go just to pass by, etc. Eli, my son, has un chapeau, ba on samedi que le remet, un chapeau noir, un chapeau top hat. Monsieur, depuis tout a fait, ok? Depuis le top hat, mais d'amour top hat. Depuis le top hat, là, toute la journée, et puis lui, let noir, il fait nos yeux, ok? Ça qui est un peu trop, qui est-ce qui est-ce qui attire avec lui plus? Moi, besoin de dire deux, trois, vous comprenez? So, ou quitter pour manifester, ou quitter pour connecter, ou quitter pour remettre ça, remettre. Okay? It's a kid's party. Who cares what he's wearing nice clothes, but he put his hat on and his glasses, et puis là, je go collier, bon bouquet me faire, collier d'antan, collier protection, de aller dans les fouets dans cool. Okay? Mardi Gras on the way. And he's going, ooh. It was as if on poignard pour fouiller dans le maman. Parce que maman dit, oh, pour dire que tu parler avec la souris là, oh, si tu parler, papa la veille. And I'm like, why not? Il va nous faire, il va nous dire, gal, aller, il va nous Cécile parler, il va aller à Kaimoun, pour faire mon avis, madame, c'est ça, problème. There's nothing wrong. He wears this every day. You don't say anything. He goes to school like that. You don't say anything. But now he's going to your friend's party because you don't want somebody to look at you in the quote unquote wrong way or say, oh, ça la fatigue, ça, qui va impliquer tout le monde, non? Automatiquement, there is a problem. She had a fit for 5 minutes. Pissed completely to the point she said she's not taking him anymore or he's not going anywhere like this. Go change to the point where she was shoving him. Like walking, like she turned into a kid herself and was shoving my kid just because he was wearing this. And I stopped her and I said, look at you. Look at all those pictures in the house. You spent your whole life à marier tout en comme mon beau depuis qu'on jeune. Ou fait ou un style ou pas connaître ou marier tout en comme mon beau. Ou fait un style africain, un style qu'elle a vol. Tout rarement bien toujours bon mouchoir qu'elle avec lui et puis toujours marier tête li bien magaille. Me dit monde qui pas connaît ou get an wè son mambo ye. Ou même ou kono ba mambo, mais tout le monde qui wè son mambo ye. Ou tout côté avec, ou l'église, ou le travail, ou fait tout bagarre avec. Pas gen monde qui dit ou merde. So pour qu'il soit péché mettre chapeau tête li, à coller à nan poule. Il peut boucher. M'di faut ka comprendre because ou connaît ces petites monde lié parce que l'autre monde ka voy ou connaît nous même dans société, ou connaît c'est mambo, automatiquement ça bon problème. C'est juste ça oui. Ça va problème parce que si tu as avec chaîne dans le cool, chapeau de lit, il n'y a pas mal. Qui mêle au contraire, c'est pour qu'on ait que c'est paix à faire, c'est paix à peur, il y a paix même. Et tant mieux, préfère paix que à peur. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Ça me dit, ou même pour faire tout voir, mon chante et tout, ou pas rendre compte c'est culture ou t'as mettez dehors, ou pas rendre compte c'est esprit à quel dans le cap manifesté, ou pas rendre compte c'est soyer qui sorti dehors. Ou juste ouais, son style lié, ou pas ça, mais moun qui va connaître automatiquement, wow, non mystique. Automatiquement. Le fait qu'on t'es ignorant de ça, ça va jamais dire parce que je t'ai bouché. C'est normal. Mais pour nous aller même la pleuver avec connaissance que le connaît qui est certain, pour le petit monde qui a 6 ans, il prend décision, précision pour l'habiller tel couleur, tel genre, telle façon, sans pas dire rien. Ça va problème. Parce que le connaît tête dit. Il me dit non. Ça va faire. Les parler comme ça, qui tout veut, qui tout pas veut. S'arrêter là. Bon, quand il faut mettre pied à terre. On comprend? Parce que la fin de la journée, décision que parents nous prennent, il n'y a rien à voir avec nous-mêmes, ni eux-mêmes. Ils prennent pour les autres. Ils prennent pour la société. Ils prennent pour ne pas parler au mal. Ils prennent pour ne pas faire affaire. Ils prennent pour ne pas rentrer dans ceci, sur le bord. C'est pour ça qu'ils prennent décision. Il n'y a rien à voir avec vraiment comme si on a dit qu'on n'est pas qu'on est. Ils prennent juste pour, oh, qui ça t'a pas dit? Comment il pas ouais? Oh, il pas dit son mauvais maman. Oh, il pas dit pas qu'on fait devoir bien. Oh, il pas dit ça règle. Est-ce que vous comprenez? That's what and it's sad because that shaped everything that they do from that point on. It shaped how they raise you. It shaped how they set up their family. It shaped everything based on validation from outsiders who don't really give two fucks about them or who's doing their part while you're hiding from them. Est-ce que vous comprenez? That's pretty much what it is. C'est juste ça. So, là, comment c'est comprendre ça, j'aime dire, we get dwawi because people think, oh, when you are a spiritual person, you're not supposed to be angry. It's bullshit. Anger is life. Okay? You're supposed to let it out. You're supposed to express it. You're supposed to say, moi-même, me faire problème, jouer, me parler. Mais ma esprit de parler avec eux, quand me dit, hey, c'est qui caca ça? Les gars de monter, mettez le dehors. Parce que that release certain things inside of you that is necessary. You cannot be all kumbaya. It's bullshit. I'm not saying that's not doesn't help, but releasing what's really, because at some point, if you're not angry, you're not doing it right. That's what I say. If you're not angry, you're not doing it right. Because if you really look down everything and you understand why you're here and how come you got here, you have to be angry at them. You have to open their eyes and see, but don't force them. Je veux dire, yo forcer bouille jambe de l'eau, yo va forcer bouille boire de l'eau. Vous comprenez? Ou pas forcer yo embody what you're embodying. You can only embody it and allow them to see it. And that's what I did with them. At some point, I was forcing it on them, and they kept looking at me like, "Oh, avant yon fait là, they get tout by ça." Oui, my parents. Oui. Oh, avant yon fait là, aucun autre jour fait là, they get plus more assez. Okay, they get plus éclairé assez. Pendant ce temps, yon vivent toujours c'est pour un passage. C'est pour passage, oui. Veut pas, c'est pour bon passage. Et les gens qui prennent des décisions pour bon passage là, c'est ça bloqué au pire. So ça vous fait. Je veux dire, you cannot get, comment dire ça là? You cannot give bees vinegar to get honey. Est-ce que comme ça me dit? Pour joindre honey, faut pas sucre là, faut aller doucement, faut mettre le sirop, faut tranquille, vous comprenez? Faut le poser. That's the main way. Mais si vous goûtez tout le temps, vous comptez privé, c'est comme toujours clash, pas grand café. You have to understand them, you have to understand you, and then find the medium that works in order to heal. Because what you're doing, you're healing you, but you're also healing them silently. They will never tell you that you're healing them. I know. They will never tell me that I'm healing them. I see it though. And then slowly, I've been in society for almost 5 years. Slowly, you're seeing the change. Slowly, you're seeing the attitude. Slowly, you're seeing the progress. I stopped talking. I stopped saying anything. I just be. So while you being, they're being. Because they don't want to say that you're the one that did it. Parce que c'est yo parent qui doit pour se montrer yo. So how you fait? You play the game.
Not sorry, chef. Lovely delight. Better let me know if you want to join in. This is Stael's live, but it's so crazy because it's like definitely divine. I just knew because Dudley is also a chef. I interviewed him last 2 Sundays ago. And this is probably everything that Dudley is also someone who serves the spirit world. And we were having short a time, so but I know I can see him underneath you who is applauding and who is saying, and this is everything that you're saying. This is why I say that we are definitely the generation. Hello, sweetheart. This is definitely the generation who is gonna have to shift. And I agree with everything that you just said. And I do agree because I do feel like somewhere, somehow, I think that I shocked her because I've been in Haiti since 2018. In 2021, she offered so much, after the assassination of the president. She was like, if you want to go back to the US, I will pay for you. If you even want to, she even said, she said, what, not a problem, I'll set you up in an apartment if you want to. She was like, I had to, this was in that moment between publicly, you just have a shock of a president who just got assassinated and everybody is fleeing. Tout le monde qui était déjà dehors décide de ne pas rentrer encore. And then I was contemplating, leaving and going back. But then when my mom came and she offered me this, it's kind of like it switched up, and I was like, why would you offer me that? why would you offer me to go back? Why would you offer me to support me in a route that is not my own? So that led me to tell myself, you are going to boss up and put those programs out, and you're going to make a living out of like the programs that you have. And this is when I did workshop, I did the mentorship programs, like all those ideas that kept coming out. And I was like, I remember when they actually bought the ticket, and my older sister kept changing the flight. And at some point, I think it was like August, I had already changed the flight 3 times. And I called her, I said, you do what you want to do with the ticket, but this is it for me. I'm in Kapila. It's Haiti for me. I'm gonna be here until that I can see change and moving forward. And so much has transpired in my life. So many gifts have been given to me to spirit for this path, for this journey. Si Haïtien c'est qu'à comprendre que when you follow your own path, the blessings, parce que tout ange gardien, yo là, they are watching you. They are paying attention. They are you connect. You're getting choices after choices, and that you have to choose. But if you only knew that if you chose right, even if the path is dark, even if you can't see forward, even if you're the only one standing, but you say, no, I'm going that way. I don't know. It's dark over here. It's really dark. I really don't know. But I'm going to keep the light and I'm going to go in that direction. Then this is when really you grow up, and this is when the spirits got you. And they're not going to let you down. And I see that she saw it because she saw the elevation and the process. And of course, there are no more arguments anymore because I'm like, at the end of the day, like you said, maybe you guys are not open for those type of dialogues, but this is where I'm standing. And this is where I'm standing, and I'm standing there until it's kind of like, until I see no other, I'm trusting God. I'm not trusting you. You've done your job. You've done everything that you could have done, and I'm embodying everything that you gave me, plus more, plus what you couldn't give me. And it's important for us to understand, for us to have this conversation and to break those barriers because as a nation, I don't want people to look at me and feel like, oh, well, you're so strong. Or people to look at me and really feel like, oh, you have your parents in Haiti. That's why you're here. Or you have your mothers in Haiti. That's why you're here. But little did you know that I literally have to fight them too. Like it's double for me because I really had to put my armor down because I'm like, no, I'm really going in that route. Nobody's gonna stop me. And if you guys are staying in my lane, like it's not gonna happen like that. So, but it is healing in a way because even with TikTok, I do see a different. I don't know if it's for a show. I really don't know if it's for the show, but I do see kind of like more Haitian parents being open to their children because they too have to realize, okay, since I understand that, it's something that I recently, started to understand. The very first thing that I took, that I understood lors parler de parents haïtiens, c'est que Haitian people have a very transactional relationship with their kids. So like I'm saying, you're fetting enough for your vow, for your love. But it's kind of like it's also very transactional that when you get to a particular age, they expect certain things out of it. So là que vous arrivez dans la lifestyle, et ça que vous êtes expert, c'est pas ça que vous baillez, c'est là que le problème a commencé à venir, because they're like, well, nous pas te lever pour ça, nous pas dépenser toute l'argent ça pour ça, nous pas faire ça pour ça, but hey, like, vous faites travail en tant que parent. So the rest is destiny. Ou pas qu'à dicter qui j'en peux vivre, ou pas qu'à dicter qui vous m'aller, ça c'est pas job ou comme parent, job ou comme parent, c'est faire tout ça que vous êtes supposé faire que vous faites. So why do you want me to always have to glorify the path that you did? Why do you always people feel like, no, you've done good. You've done good. It's great. But now you have to let your children embody who they are, wherever they are. And it's so funny because it's like, when I started to have spirituality, like when my spirituality started to really grow, I was working in youth development. And I worked a lot in centers where there were a lot of Haitian youth. And one of the things that I started to understand, a paquet la ti moun pa ou la drogue, un paquet de petits moun sa ou pas qu'à apprendre l'école, un paquet de petits moun sa yo comme si yo dans la rue parents yo après aller dans bagay protestant matin midi soir when they know that it's deeper than that. It's actually really deeper than that. And this is when I started to understand these things. But unfortunately, given that, you know how the US is, like there was not really a lane for me to really, first of all, I was a lot more younger. I didn't really have all the spiritual knowledge that I have now. But then it's like American Bali 1 inch la prend 10 inch pour lui faire mon long pour faire comme la sou. Bali 1 inch la prend 10 inch pour lui mettre l'ensemble de psychiatrie pour lui faire non. Lors non pas que tout le monde qui dit que lui ouais on fait le bagage ou même avec me connaître que yes lui ouais ça ouais yes la parle avec on pas clairement yes lui gen moun bon côté. But the system want to use that because they want to lock you up to tell you that you're crazy, that your child is crazy, and then you fait problème tout petit, tout tandis que ou même ou connaît très bien que ça son bagage qui racial, le petit tout dit que la bronze et le bagage, ou connaît bien propre que la poêle bagage. So why are we lying to ourselves? Why are we lying to ourselves? It's I don't know. Boston just opened a cultural center, like you were saying, like Haïti a son l'autre niveau. Par contre, qui force nous qui va me courage pour me travailler parce que bien la dit comme ça. M'gè pas gen 40 ça va faire avec parce que je connais même pays en bas si la monter, si la descendre, comme regarder pour moi Haïti a son l'autre niveau. But I do see that now. I don't know how Montreal is. Montreal has a lot of cultural place. Montreal is very rich with the Haitian culture. And Boston is starting to do that because there's a big community over there. And I really hope, like, when I see them opening those community center and those culture, I really want them to have those really deep work because, you know, we need to make sure that our Haitian youth that are coming to the U.S. are protected. We need to make sure that we are protecting them from those Americanized systems that is putting them inside the system. So whether you're on Haiti, you're Longang, you're Lot Boy, you're Longang, parce que on Haiti, you're pas Lot Boy, you're pas parents qui pouvaient épauler. So we have to do the work. You know, at some point we have to do the work as a community. So my eyes is on it. You know, hopefully, like I get to travel and see what they have going on and do some type of partnership with them, where we can really start to really like put in the work. Because like when I think about myself, I say every day, I thank God for my aunt. I really thank God for my aunt because my aunt was very patient with me. You know, I used to say this all the time. If it was the other way around, like my parents had flew to the States, no, I would have been a study case. I would have definitely been one of those kids who was out in the street. Like, I could not imagine, because I left Haiti when I was 15. So those teenage years, I stayed with my aunt, who really was very different. You know, she was able to talk to me. She was able to, you know, counsel me. She was able to do perhaps something that maybe my parents would have not, or my mother would have not been able to do because she was more strict. She was more of a disciplinarian, and sometimes it doesn't work. You know, that strictness. We need to know that being a disciplinarian is not hitting kids. It's not telling them to shut up. It's not telling them to be in their space like Papa. No, that's we got to redo this whole education the way that we are educating our youth because you know, in a way, my dad was very much open when I was growing up. So this is what allowed me to be so vocal because I didn't have, you know, a father, although now, you know, our relationship is not the best, but growing up, he did his work. I was sorry to he's looking at it like maybe this is too much, you know, but, you know, he definitely was not a father who was kind of like that strict father where you couldn't talk to him. We really had a pleasant relationship growing up. You know, he allowed me to be the child that I was, you know, and this is very healthy because when someone is looking at me, they're like, wow, you have great communication skills. You talk so well. You are so kind of like, yeah, but it really comes from my family as well, my parents, you know, they did the work. They really did that work. So it's kind of like explosive, but you're trying to hold it back, but it doesn't really work like that. So now that we're in it, we've touched in so many different, and I love this conversation because I really feel like this is what I needed. You know, I really feel like it's healing me just hearing you talk because sometimes like you say things and it's such a taboo subject in our community, even with some of the YouTube videos. Like last week, I did the YouTube video, but you know, we just drink to like you, but you don't really feel like people are wanting to talk. They don't have that faith. And it's time for us to create those space where, we can talk about it. Where it's kind of like, no, I actually really am going through it, even if I'm smiling and I'm putting the work out. Yeah, I do the same route. You Haitian, I'm Haitian. I got to deal with a lot of the bullshit as well, right? So it's really important. But now that we're in it, Stayu, we're going to talk about the chef life. But I can see that there's so many gifts that is coming from that other aspect of you. You are a painter, like you paint, you use. And another thing that I'm seeing is like, it's a dance, again, you have all these things. Those are all creative juices that is coming from your inspiration, that is coming from your creativity, and you're utilizing it to make a living, which is exactly the way that God intended us to be. Parce que le que ou parle sur ça que ou gagne naturellement is harder. But when you go into finding out who you are, it's finding the gift that you are going to like find out. And also one aspect that I want you to talk to people is that how I'm not necessarily going to say finding out the spirituality, but how embodying the woman that you are has maybe shift your culinary, perspective because it's kind of like you went to school with it, but you do specialize in the vegan cuisine, which is interesting parce qu'on est haïtien même vegan. So how do find it to do tout delicious dishes style? And how has finding your spirituality, deepening your spirituality, merging it into your vegan cuisine, the vegan thing, and all of the work that you're doing, that you're embodying your spirituality? Like talk to the people to express yourself.
Oh, girl. um. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing all of that because like you said, we do need to have the platform to have these type of conversation. And I think after the live we'll talk because I think we should find a way, because I know you're busy and I'm busy, but we have to find a way to really create a platform to have this type of conversation so that everybody can get involved in it and speak their mind and speak what they're talking to, because it's not just taboo, but I think some of us are also still afraid of our parents that they don't want to say anything because of the magician situation, or they don't want to have like, so it's necessary to have this conversation, and thank you for allowing the space to do so. For me, first of all, I'm not a vegan. I specialize in vegan food. I was a vegan for 3 years, from the time my son was born until up until 2021 COVID time, because I was sick. I was ill. My body was rejecting everything. And I kept searching for something to heal naturally, because as a brand new mother, I wanted to breastfeed my son for at least 2 years and then decide what to do with these breasts that was going against me. Do you understand? So it was just like, okay, I have to do something where when I tell my son to do something, it's not just me telling him what to do, it's also me showing him because I'm also doing it too. So I went in deep into searching to alkaline vegan food and what it does. I started researching Dr. Sebi and started researching Dr. Laila Africa, getting all these resources from these people that walked the path and did it. And started understand the anatomy even more, because as a nurse I already had a background of understanding the body and the organs and how they work. And then now I'm in culinary, and then I started remembering that food is medicine, food is fuel, food is life. And I'm like, so how come food is killing me? So I started researching in that realm to understand that, okay, maybe it's not just food, it's which food, what kind of food, how we eat the food, when to eat the food, when not to eat, to listen to your body and listen to your gut, because your gut is the first brain of the body. Most people don't know that, but your gut will when they tell you, oh, listen to your gut, or they use that as intuition. But in reality, your gut, if your gut is in the proper position, the proper, alignment with who you are, you can literally listen to your gut and it tells you what's going on with your body. But we weren't trained to know these things. We weren't taught to know these things, right? We were just eating whatever. So I had to really go back to understanding when my grandmother used to feed me, what she used to feed me, what time, when. We used to eat seasonal. We didn't eat everything because it was just supplied to us, right? Si pas gen pa saison mango, ou pa manger mango. Si pas saison zaboka, ou pa manger zaboka. Vous comprenez? So c'est les saisons on mange qui dit que les là, corps ka digérer, j'en pour digérer là. Mais when it's not the time to eat it, you're forcing your body to do something it's not supposed to do. And that in itself can cause autoimmune diseases. So the world now is, you're in October, December, you could find strawberries which are grown in June. Okay, they freeze blast them, they put them in bags and you use them and make juice with it, fine. You eat it, you don't feel anything, but your body now is digesting something that is completely outside of the season that is supposed to digest it the proper way. Do you understand? So c'est pas juste que parce que on va manger viande qui dit que ou en santé, ou doit manger de ces légumes parce que vous manger l'eau, manger l'un qui font malade. Vous comprenez? One thing I started understanding is that our body is a compost. Just like when you put food in the garbage, you leave it sitting there for like 3 days and it starts to smell. It starts to create maggots, to be worms and stuff like that. Or s'il enfermé, il commence à gonfler, faut mettre dehors, faut jeter. It's the same thing for your system. You don't have a plug to say that you're refrigerating anything in there. Do you understand? And everything, if you look how living organism starts, it starts in a dark, moist, heated area. Your belly is dark, it's moist, and it's heated. Kounya imagine what make pomme de terre, broccoli, viande, fromage, lait, la donne. Ou boire c'est comment on dit ça, en moitié. Under. And all depends on saki core avec what goes with your body or not. It's gonna have all kinds of reaction. And the number one thing is you're gonna get gas. You're gonna get bloated. It's gonna expand your colon. It's gonna allow things to not move properly. It's gonna block. You're gonna get constipated, or you get IBS, or you get diarrhea. All of these things because we weren't taught how to properly eat for our system, our melanated, our colors. You rise with the sun and you go down with the same. But the system that we live in, we're working at night. We're become nocturnal by aware. So tout ça, c'est comme, it's what's causing us to not have the proper relationship with food as we should. But because God, the Almighty is God, already predicted that would happen, also allowed plants and herbs to counteract, to be the antidote of all the crap that we'll be doing to our system, to allow us to reset, because your organs can rejuvenate itself. Some of them every 3 months, some of them every year, some of them in 6 weeks, some of them in 2 weeks, in 3 days. It all depends on where, and what you put in it to allow it to heal all the time. You understand? So I had to really dig deep to search these things, and that's when the vegan specialist came out of me, because I was in need of healing and I wanted to heal naturally. And it wasn't just healing my body, it was healing my mental. And that came about of me really focusing more on my spiritual, because the less crap you put in the physical, the easier you have to connect with the spirituality. You understand? The dream starts flooding in, the message started coming in, the alignment, because you're aligning yourself without knowing, but you're aligning yourself to be of the spirit rather than of the world, by connecting less with the world and connecting more with the spirit. And food is, if not the way to start doing that. Vous comprenez? Parce que again, there's a war on drugs, there's a war on this, there's a war on that, but the food is the biggest war there is. Food is the biggest industry there is. This is why the FDA is in the same connection together. Food, Drug Administration. Yo va manger ça pas bon, et puis yo boit drogue là pour soi-disant, est-ce que vous comprenez? Counteract cyber woman make on band-aid on it. That's why they're making their money and they're exploring and then they're doing other things. And people are being born with stroke. People are being born with cancer. It's
Let me let that sink. Mwen pa prale vivre aux États-Unis encore. Okay?
It's really
Permettez-moi.
it's
Because it's
yeah.
crazy how um you know how many of my peers, people that I know have cancer. It's crazy how like you're looking at people that are in their 30s, people are not making it past 45. Your grandmother died at 100 and something years old, and you got this generation that are dying and they're not doing the math. And I like you just teach me something here about yeah, kunya se pak mango I see so tout a manger mango. Après ça, va jeune avocado, tout a manger avocado, but I never made the correlation that maybe your body, this is when your body can digest those type of food. Like they're not teaching you anything. You literally dying, you buying, and then you have bon paquet médicaments pour développer un paquet d'autres maladies et puis oui. It's kind of like it's
Mais
crazy.
parce que you live in the capitalism world, it's all about supply and demand. You comprends? It's all about supply and demand. At the end of the day, all they care about is making the money. You want it, you're demanding it, they're gonna supply it for you. So y'all font banana sorti jusqu'au Costa Rica pour arriver Canada. Where? Why? You understand? Throughout the whole year. If it's banana season, great. When it's not banana season, find something else to eat. But no, they're not gonna do that. You're gonna have the banana. And now they have them in the supermarket green, as green can be. And when you bring it home, 2 weeks later, it's still green. It doesn't change any color. You can barely eat it. They're like more like plastic now. Everything is just completely different. Parce que comment est pas supposé dire surtout là, m'a dit pareil. Si vous regardez vraiment bien, cartel ne pas exister encore. Pas de monde qui vend la drogue encore. Quand la drogue vient légale, presque tout côté. OK? So côté moun ça va aller. Côté aller faire comme faire l'argent. Et moi j'ai aller parce que moi j'ai légalement il facile de faire sauver là dedans pas de monde qui régulariser vraiment vrai. Dans pays côté il y a monde qui régulariser soit faire sortir local, mais tout ça qui sorti import qui sorti de l'autre côté yo. De marquer ingrédients ça qui pour tester pas connaît. So ça ba ou bon yo du olive oil là li naturel. Gon paquet bon olive oil qui vient qui pas olive oil vraiment vrai. Your boy will canola. Canola oil said it can cause a lot of cancers out there, and it's in every single restaurant you can find. And it's the cheapest one out there if you want to buy a gallon of oil and cook at your house, and vegetable oil. And people think that's healthy, but it's not because nobody's really doing the work of teaching you what to eat and what not to eat. If they posted pictures of this food will give you, just like they do for smoking, cancer, all that stuff, most of the food will stay on the shelf. Nobody will buy it. You understand? But they're not doing that. They're doing the marketing of posting a cow on the farm and you're thinking, oh, the cow had a good life. It's providing me milk for me to drink. And I'm just grateful because back then that's what it was. The animal gives you the life. That's the sacrifice. You give it thanks to it before you put it in your body so that it becomes nutritious for you to survive. But that's not what's happening. They're shoving them all in a farm in a small ass space on top of each other. They're pooping and eating each other's poop. They're eating processed cardboard food. They're shoving antibiotics into their system so that they can stay alive, or shoving growth hormones in them so that they could grow them as fast as possible. And you are buying that and you're eating that, and that's what's causing you to be sick. I'm not against anybody eating meat. Hell, I cannot be vegan anymore because of my spirituality. If you're really embodying your spirituality, let us have manger cochon. Why dit non? Et les vous mangez, la guarde. Vous comprenez? So c'est comme beaucoup de you cannot. But c'est juste parce que the food that's here compared to the food we used to eat back home, it's a completely different process of it. So then that food makes you sick. So you have to know how to prepare. This is where spirituality comes in. You have to know how to raise that. Whatever it is that you're gonna cook, it's not just you eating it. Sometimes we have cravings. It's them wants to eat through you. That's also part of it. When you are doing parties, what fait dans pour faire offrande, for bali sal manger sal remè, ou pas manger, they're gonna think you poison it. They're not gonna eat it either. So tout ça, c'est bon jouet, tu comprends? So you have to start understanding the why certain things, and then do it according to tradition and knowledge pour qu'à faire de qu'à recevoir, and then for you to eat it. But I became a vegan basically because I wanted to heal myself. to remove certain things out of my system and naturally so take my time to do it in order to be present for my kid. That was the first reason. And then when I start going into it, I start diving deeper and understand like, holy shit. That's the biggest drug there is. That's it's food is everything. Food is either can heal you or food can kill you. You understand? So then when you start digging deeper, and then you start realizing the people that was preaching us about food, that was teaching us about the proper food, they're no longer here. Yo touye yo. Yo fè desi bagay kom si pi yo pa existe ankon. Yo krasé reputasyon yo pou montre yo ke même moun ki ta praise manger santé ya oui, mais comment mourir avec diabète, avec ci, avec ça, et pourtant c'est pas ça. So it's not just let me tell you, I got scared in the beginning because when I started posting certain things, I'm more scared about posting about food than voodoo. Do you understand? I'm more scared of posting about food.
No, because that's the power right there. You're educating the people, Dr. Shabby died because of the same thing, because he was literally becoming too popular. He was educating the mass, and so many people were doing their research, so many people were, taking it well. And like he said, there's no money in the drugs, so where are they going to get their money? So the issue that Haiti is having is deeper than what people really understand. Well, that is the society people they both know taking out well. But again, I still have it that you don't have to exercise and or food. So if we can really tap into that agriculture, that is a big money for us right there. But the way that they're supposed to be, like I had an experience in 2021, I had lost a lot of weight, but my weight just got centered, right? C'est comme gens qui watch manger say de façon, et puis you never look at yourself in the mirror until you take a picture and you're like, oh my God, like I'm literally looking at a different person. And one of the things, like, because many of them say that, oh, like, our Haitian people, they give us a lot naturally. So I'm not on club or bunny or salad, you're eating a lot of food, right? So one thing that I noticed with my diet is that rice is what is making my waist bigger. Once I cut off my rice, literally I just shrank up. Like you would think that I did surgery. And without eating rice for like, I wasn't eating at all in January, I did not eat anything in February and March. But because you're so accustomed to certain, and you know how Haitians do it. Once they don't see you, you start moving ways to start cool again. They're like, oh, to a mag, oh, to a bone, oh, you think that it's mag, that it's so cool, you say, like, so cool. So, I panicked a little bit, and I was like, let me be like, let me have that variety. It actually made me sick. I literally threw up the texture of the rice. But that was like the different rice, because the rice that is I would say like be like bonita, it doesn't do that in my body. But the imported rice made me sick. The texture of that rice made me sick. But when you think about it, that's what the majority of the population here in Haiti consume is that imported Miami rice that is not even good
But
for us.
there's cyanide in it. It's poison. There's poison in it. You eat too much of it, you're poisoning your body. That rice has cyanide in it because the field that they're growing in has cyanide in it. So you eating that, you're also ingesting cyanide in your system. And that's the thing they will never tell you. You understand? Haïtien levé sous du riz. Mais si c'est pas pour soleil chaud ça, qui vient dans le pays noir. Nous pourrions faire dans tout sens.
And to second to step because there was a place where that type of rice that people cancel. And just like the appetite and meat. But like you said, it's like a blessing upon blessing because it's kind of like maybe it's the sunshine and maybe the way that Asian people are walking because Asian people walk a lot. I see some of my shit, so I put all the people at my face, so they still putting those down this salary. So when you're looking at it, if you're not a person who has same metabolism, you are not digesting this properly. I mean, I'm just so like this conversation. I knew that it was going to be epic because people need to start waking up and understanding how they are being, or literally poisoned, right, by a system that is there to destroy you. And when you say things like, look at the Biden program. I understand because I'm not going to say I've someone who's been living here. Like those things are definitely rough. It's been rough. But when you really think about it, it's sort of like necesito una people tell you, necesito una people to buy. You don't only have people who are here in Florida. So it's not like the Biden program I said means so. You have people that are way out, that are, people who make a lot of sense. Like they make a
Tesao.
lot of
E
sense.
ba achete
You
apache.
know,
Tout tesao se achete
no,
apache yo. Se yon mase
but
yo.
what people
Se ap
are
servi avek yo pou fa fe pa yo.
people This is why, even with the consultation, I'm trying my hardest to teach the younger generation that these also with those parents, you gotta teach your kids about the names that are there for them. Bien, si vous que grand-papa, papa, grand-ancien qui te tête ou a fait du temps, ou a fait un paquet l'argent, on paye étranger, ou a fait bill pour papa de payer. Parce qu'on vient faire you have all those names that are just here. You don't
And
know
that's
what
where
to
the
do
money
with it.
is. That's where the money is. Ou gete isit ou riche. Ou gete isit ou riche. Ou ka fe pop manje ou riche. Et c'est ça que on va comprendre parce que moi-même, nous avons dit, je vais ici, avant que je quitte le pays, je peux jamais acheter fruits dans la ville. Je ne jamais acheter fruits dans la ville. Je levé son terrain qui était tout pied bois, toute graine bois qui existé. Je ne peux pas aller à la Concorde pour m'acheter fruits dehors. Les saisons fruits en venir, monter pékenet, nous avons golf, nous avons mango, nous avons cachiman, caïmite, fig, tout là, dans la coûte, notre côté qu'on a un club là. Je vais acheter fruits moi-même. C'est là que je viens dans le pays étranger pour ça que les acheter fruits. Pour ce temps, on va vivre, nous avons la roue. Il va avoir droit pour faire. Parce que il n'est pas non, et comme ça, dans l'intérêt, il n'est pas dans l'intérêt pour foguer, pour produire la caillou. Et c'est ça que nous même un paquet de générations qui n'a qu'à essayer de retourner à la base pour comprendre que terre, manger, de vous gagner. Parce que si bon Dieu bat en abondance, si vous venez sur la terre, vous jouez tout bagage ça au chita à temps, ou sont warren. Pas manquer rien dans la vie. On va que nous les hommes vivent sous terre ça, tout ça nous besoin pour vivre à l'aise, freely, with no problem and abundance. We're already here waiting for us. And you didn't even have to do anything to grow it back. You dropped the seed, it grew back by itself. Whether it took 5, 10 years. You understand? So it was like everything was already set up. And then to come to find out you have to even pay for air now. Like, you see where we're going? So the whole point is to get back. So moi-même spécialité en tant que vegan, surtout dans la communauté haïtienne, parce que nous connaissons des choses qui sont difficiles. J'en dis à haïtien mais viande yo. Et même là, j'étais vegan 100% for the 3 years. J'ai toujours dit, I'm helping you transition. And the transition was to basically put more vegetables in your life than meat. Put more real food in your life than processed food. Understand that food can change your system. And I use myself as a lab rat to really understand what food does to me when I eat certain foods and how it reacts within my body instead of having somebody tell me what food does. I do the research and I do it myself. And sometimes I get too passionate about it and people say I'm being aggressive and whatnot. It's not that. C'est juste que on vit tellement ouais comme si on levait dans mensonge de tout genre. C'est comme yo, like we gotta do something. And at the same time, I want to emphasize on this because there's also a propaganda happening where they put you where like if you're eating vegan you are better than somebody else or you are healthier than somebody else, and that's not true. I'm saying it right now, it's not true at all. It's just another way for separation to happen amongst us again. No matter where we are, no matter what we do, il y a toujours une façon pour nous séparer nous entre groupes et groupes pour créer zizanie, pour créer problème. If voodoo helped me in a lot of ways, especially in that sense. When you're looking at first of all, voodoo is a consciousness. So when you're conscious about everything and you're looking at nature, gen giraffe, gen éléphant, gen poisson, gen requin, gen baleine. Chaque son un type différent, chaque son grosseur différent, chaque manger différemment. Ça veut dire que le baleine n'a pas en santé parce qu'il met grosseur mélangé comparativement avec petit poisson ou bien dauphin. Ça veut dire que éléphant, parce qu'il met grosseur mélangé, il n'est pas en santé comparativement avec girafe là. Est-ce que vous comprenez? Ça veut dire que monkey, pas bon comparativement avec gorille là. Parce que chaque manger ça va manger. Chaque gen form yo, chaque gen shape yo, chaque gen façon yo. But that doesn't mean that they're not healthy. Do you understand? So, gen des moun ki obese, gen des moun ki comme si ki dépassé ou ka comprendre ça. Mais gen des moun c'est comme ça yo fait, c'est corpule yo. Jean yo di haïtien, des fois l'on perd du poids, yo di pas la vol là. C'est parce que vraiment vrai pas la vol, ça dépend de moun nan. Gen des corps ou gen des comme si façon que vous nez, vous faites le gros os, vous comprenez? C'est parce que c'est pour ça même, ou pas supposed to try to fit anybody else's standard. You have to really be okay with your skin and be okay with who you are. And if you're conscious that you're putting the right food for you in your body, you are healthy as anybody else can be. On moun gen devant la li skinny comme ça, et puis on donne pourri. Li gen diabète, li gen cholestérol, li fait blood pressure, li fait cœur, li gen tout bagay, li gen abs, li skinny, etc. Et pour l'autre, mon côté de la qui mélange, pas rien, li clean, li healthy as a horse. So we can't focus on these standards going in the future anymore. All we need to know is that, are you eating real food? And if you're not, are you cleansing your system enough to release it? This is why I don't really promote vegan food anymore. I just promote the benefit of, if that makes sense. You know, if you incorporate 50, 60, 90% of real food in your day to day, then you have access to a better life. If you incorporate certain herbs, you drink water, you hydrate yourself more and more every day, you know what to cleanse your system, then you have access to a better life. Because there are food out there that are pure poison. There are food that are there that are not good for you whatsoever. And nobody can tell you that. You have to eat it, try it, and see what it does in your system. And then you go, okay, ça, m'bap manger encore. M'bap mettre ça là. M'bap prendre ça. Vous comprenez? Parce que, gon côté où il fait tout, survival of the fittest, de a tellement cher, gon paquet de bagay moun pa ka afford. Sustainability is one thing. So, we da di, oh, c'est ben et bon manger santé, mais si poche pa permettre tout, et surtout nous va le starve, ou pas starve, ou get tout moun ba manger, ou pas starve. You gotta do what you gotta do. You understand? Mais par contre, the dandelions, the pissenlit qui gen la rue, que yo que c'est weed qui pas bon, c'est yo pour ramasser, pour bouillir, pour boire, pour nettoyer foie, pour retirer graisse là. Yo faut comprendre li pas bon. Yo faut comprendre li pas supposé servir avec lui, c'est weed, c'est whatever bullshit herbs, parce que c'est les mêmes bon mettre même pour nettoyer le système, l'autre manger tintin ça qui va bon pour vous. Donc pour have a better optimum of life. So all of these things you have to understand in order to live spiritually and also in the physical realm with whatever's going on in this lifetime, because our body is made to adapt no matter what. Our body is made, it's the universe within the universe. So it's endless as long as you know what to do and how to do it. You know what I mean? And you cannot allow everybody else's opinion to, alter how you move. C'est pour même pour qu'on corps, pour sentir connexion, hein, and then you go from there. On va être malade, ou manger une fois, il faut vomir, mais t'es là, pas mal encore, c'est tout. C'est juste ça, et pour chercher l'autre.
Such a rich conversation. I know that so much information. But even here, when you think about I eat this activity, but longevity by the continues about healthy. Something I think the movement here kind of give me a focus on the movement here. Mieux comme il y a organisation et manger. Donc, en province, quand on est one of the things and of the work that I'm engaged in organizations that are, to do is to, have some type of partnership with schools where it's kind of like, don't come in one shape, it's like It's probably when they say like, they call it, they call me Jiggy. You know, to me, I love Patty Cody. Like, yesterday morning, I love Patty Cody. We know that Patty Cody is from like to do them of their activity every single day. But here in Iowa, people literally will eat every single morning. But you know, so it's kind of like even the way that we used to eat. But lama le kampe, par exemple, moun ka manje spaghetti, moun ka manje ti de manje sa, moun manje jan yo manje, moun manje pekini, moun manje, ouwe, Saoudien, ouwe, moun yo grow, they need to very, very big. But ap not un paket moun, moun un paket exercice, yo pa esifre. Moun yo pa de problem, yo sot la, yo gale bien loin, the shot back on your super big and they're still like having that because they're eating properly that even for their body type. And you are right when you're saying that people are coming in with all sort of like craziness to teach you how to eat, but it's really how you are supposed to be eating. We like there's a way for us to eat, you know, and it's I'm so happy and I really hope that these people are going to take in those conversations, this enriched conversation that we're having. At 40, I feel like I've never looked my best. You know, like yes, I've always looked good, but now it's like I feel good. It's more, and even so, I don't even feel like I'm eating the way that I'm supposed to be eating. Because yes, I cut off the rice, but I feel like I could incorporate a lot more like tomatoes and things like in 2021 I was eating more. But when I was trying to see lab blockade, you can't get people to bring shit to you. They got your life like literally on lockdown the way that we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to take on yam, from the tail. You know, so my also we haven't even touched about medicinal plants. We haven't even talked about how kind of like literally every disease is curable. Literally every disease is curable. Even the ones that they are telling you that are non-curable, every disease is curable. Every disease is curable. So if we have to talk about that, this life would have been flat because it's kind of like you're not blaming corny back at you, man, because they want you to die or they want you to be on medicine forever. That's what the money is. So people need to raise this consciousness to understand these things so that on view and make you need those life known that our brain can be like 100, 90 years old. Ula fait capable de 40 ans, 45 ans ou mieux, 50 ans ou mieux, c'est ça. It's like we're not putting one together at all.
Manje ase yon, pa kon ki es ya, son lot, stres ko endure an tou an menm tan, nan moun la viv prezentman tou, se yon nan, one of the biggest factor also, one, but so stress is passed down. Like let's say I was stressed out when I had my son, it's passed down into the genes, whether I liked it or not, whether I wanted to or not. So I have to also acknowledge that now as he's growing up to know how to navigate my life and his life better in order for him not to continue on with having such anxiety or things like that. Because we don't focus on these things, but it's there. Imagine if fait tout vous regarder nouvelles, c'est moun kap mouri, c'est tiré en journée, c'est problème. That also affects you in a way where even if you could eat properly, you can't even swallow it down so it could do what it's supposed to do in it. You eating a pizza, if you start eating a pizza and say, oh man, I'm not supposed to eat this, I'm not supposed to eat this, you already speaking to your body that it's not supposed to receive that and it's not supposed to receive it well, or ça va manger là, assez pour moi. N'importe soit dit, manger, automatiquement, corps va recevoir le même genre. So it's gonna create either a positive effect or a negative effect within you. Like automatically because you're stressed out. You're eating too fast, you're rushing to go to work. It's the same thing. You don't take your time to sit and eat at the table with everybody and relax and be in a steady mood, relax mode to allow the food to properly go inside of you. It's also gonna have some kind of ripple effect that's gonna and you being sick or ill later on down the road. So tout ça c'est des facteurs comme we never were taught them at all. Like they're teaching you etiquette, how to eat on the table, but never teach you what to eat on the table. You know what I mean? And that's like where it's backwards. Everything is so much lies, so much things, and We will be talking for days parce que tellement l'on regarder comme si tout bagay we like wow. And to be honest, surtout l'on commence à entrer ou ancrer tout bon dans spiritualité, gen bagay wa faire ou di, why am I doing this? What is the point of this? What's the point of being in that, in that space? And so many times I wanted to quit the chef life. I'm not gonna lie, only because it's like for you to be in that world where they see you as culinary mogul or anything else, you have to follow that trend with where it's all butter and all the sauces and all the meat and all the more stuff you add on it, the salt bay and all that stuff, the better it is for you to actually have that, face out there. Even the vegan trend, vegan is supposed to be you eating food that God created. And if you want to transform it to make it a little bit elevated or whatever, great. But they're doing so much where it's now being even overly processed than the actual processed food that's not vegan. You understand? So how's that making you better? Because you put a vegan certificate, you put the name on it, that means it's healthier. But a lot of vegan food that's out there is not healthy for you at all because they put a lot of words, product in it that you can even pronounce, all the chemicals that they have to preserve them. It's horrible. It has this really bad effect on your system and your taste buds. So is it necessarily because it's vegan is healthy? No. So I've done all the, you go around all the 9 years and you figure out, you're like, okay, at the end of the day, juste fais ça bon. Depuis qu'on dit bon, vous comprenez? Pour faire recherche pour voir qui ça gagne ça gagne ça, et pour prendre une décision constamment pour dire non, m'a manger tel gens, m'a manger tel gens, et puis l'autre manger ou assurer que ou remercier qui t'était bête, qui t'était plante là, parce que people are going out there, oh, we're killing animals, but you're also killing plants. You also kill, you know what I mean? Si fruit a pas tombé sur le pied bois ou quand il prend, tu vas tuer lui, il va pas pour tomber. Parce que they are alive. You never have leaves falls down during fall and after a rainy day and you are raking them. I've had that experience and I smell blood. Look, you raking dead leaves on the grass, wet soil, and you raking it and I smell blood. I was in the nursing in the hospital field. I know what blood smells like. I smell blood. It's a living thing just like you are. Why is it okay for us to just grab a plant, grab this, and be okay with it, and then you kill an animal, you are the worst person in the world? You know what I mean? So when I started understanding that, I'm like, that's not the issue. The issue is know you, know your blood type, know what food works for you, know your culture, know where you come from, how they used to eat, when they used to eat, why they eat that, what does this food do? What does that do? Why is it this? That's what you need to study. Et puis comprendre comment l'agir nous-mêmes et puis vous manger accordingly. That's it. But I push more vegan because in our culture we eat more processed food, more greasy food, more like those things that just clogs in our arteries. They clog our brains. You calcify cerveau qui faut pas qu'à reach that point of enlightenment. You know what I mean? So that's why I push it because it's not just about the food. It's more about understanding how to really get back to connecting with your roots and allowing that energy, the flow. You understand? And then that kind of opened a lot of doors that I didn't even expect was going to open. And the more I start pushing it, the more I'm realizing I am kind of ahead of a lot of things that I did not know I was ahead of. But just because it's a community and people are doing things doesn't mean that it's actually happening where you are. Doesn't mean that people are actually on board yet. And it was frustrating in the beginning because I was getting the traction or the connection that I needed. And then I realized that's because no one else is doing it. That's because where I am, it's not popular. When you're from the States, you tend to be a little bit more ahead than anywhere else in the world because you get on a youth ça. Vous comprenez? Mais l'autre de Montréal, oui, Montréal a avancé au paquet de bagailles, mais ces bagailles, ils pas quoi là-dedans du tout. Ni la partie noire, ni la partie blanc. So, l'on fait li ou pas rendre compte tout ça. Puis c'est les moun nan vin knock on your door say, I'm looking for a vegan chef to do a wedding for me. And they say, and I asked them, how did you find me? And they go, I typed it up and you popped up and you're the only one that's doing this. I'm like, what? Do you understand? It's like, are you serious? They're like, yeah, you go anywhere else for catering, they tell you they can do vegan option. All they give you is a cold sandwich and a salad. You understand? Nobody can actually do a gourmet meal to give you from start to finish of plain vegan. They can't do it. They don't have that knowledge to do it. And you're like, oh shit, I thought I was behind, but it's the other way around. You understand? So that kind of just really like boosted my confidence to keep doing what I'm doing. And then more people are becoming more aware of their health and the food, especially after COVID. Most people don't eat out anymore. They rather pay you to come cook for them and teach them how to cook. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. And it took a long time to get here, but it's getting there. Like you said, I took a setback. I went back to school. I took entrepreneurial of Quebec and trying to really understand the nitty gritty of what goes on. Like after I took your course, it kind of just set me up seriously, go, because I had to really structure my life in a way so that I could balance all of these things. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it. When we last had the conversation, I was still in my parents' house. Now in my own home. You understand? And I'm balancing all of it. And sometimes even I look around, I'm like, how the fuck am I doing this? But seriously, your course kind of really set sail for me, and I went and I followed everything that we went over, and I went pinpointed from that, and I got myself the course at school, which eventually propelled me even more. And then I started networking out. Pretty much that's pretty much it. I find myself in different membership programs with different association, and you network. They have lunch in potlucks, things like that. You show up. You just show up. Hi, I'm this. I don't have anything yet, or I'm doing this. It doesn't matter where you are, which stage you are in. You show up. You be present and you connect, and you never know what kind of information you're gonna get, or who knows who, or who knows what, and how they move. And you're learning, and I'm learning so much. I did took a step back, but I took a step back and I was working behind closed doors. I lost pay for that. I didn't take certain work because of it. I couldn't do certain contract because of it, because I was like, it's not about the money. It's about understanding and having the knowledge in order to get there. So I did that, and it's paying off. Thank God. And this year is just like, it's the year, I guess. I decided that, it's all or nothing. You got to do it. You have to be fearless. You can't be afraid anymore.
And this is what I was saying in the beginning when I was introducing that, you know, a lot of times, social media is not it. You don't always need to be present when you need it. And I remember when you talked in the beginning of the year and you expressed and you said, I really want to thank you because, I participated into the mental program, and that just like opened me up, and now I'm feeling all of this, not doing that. And it's kind of like, now looking at you, you just entered a contest. You not only, it's kind of like I'm seeing the passion, because for some time I wasn't really seeing you on your Chef Stael page, but now it's like I'm seeing the passion. I'm seeing the work. I'm seeing everything that you're doing, and simultaneously, I'm still seeing you like in your Mushwagin page. I mean, it's like the energy is there, the whole essence is there. Even now, like you gain a lot more weight, but you look so fresh. You look so. It's kind of like definitely like a whole kind of like new person. Like one of the things that I tell people is kind of like you really need to like first and foremost, because I want you to tell people, like for myself also, I don't even want to say that, I want you to tell people, because it's kind of like when we were doing the mentorship program, there was a time where you said that, oh my God, like I didn't think that the course was going to be so intense. I didn't think like I was going to learn all of that. But what people are not understanding is like when they do work with me, it's like I'm literally pouring, I'm literally looking at everything that the person has to bring to the table. And I'm like, okay, let's do this like that. Let's do that. What's the benefit? So to finish up this really lovely conversation, this rich conversation that we've been having, to really wrap it up, because I feel like we could be here forever. One of the things that I really want for you to close off is to first of all tell people about the contest because you are presently participating in a contest. Tell them about the contest. Tell them what the contest is for, the end result of the contest that you're having, why they need to support you in the contest, and tell them the services that you offer. I know that you are based in Montreal, so that people know. And tell me a little bit of what the mentorship program that we did together, how it helped you, what you learned from it, and how it supported you into, kind of like making you strengthening those juices that you had a little bit.
All right. Well, for Chef Stael, you can find me on chefstael.ca. That's the website. And I'm also here on Instagram, not necessarily more on Facebook, because there's not much of a interaction really on Facebook. So I'm mainly here on Instagram or my website. The services that we offered are pretty much catering. We do weddings. We do all kinds of parties, private, intimate parties also, services that we do. I used to do repas hebdomadaire, which is the meal prep, but I don't have time to do that anymore, which is a good thing, unfortunately for people. But I really don't have time to do it anymore. It depends on the client, but it takes so much of the time to nitpick that way, so I don't provide that anymore. And right now what we're working on is the biggest project ever, which is becoming a transformateur de produits alimentaires, and that's pretty much having our product being on the shelves at the grocery stores. And the point is to provide everybody with what we offer. And it is vegan. It's a croton, which is a spread that you can use. It's a full vegan, plant-based, natural organic food with no preservative actually, and with on appelle ça ingrédients simples, with simple ingredients that that you use, that you can use for yourself, your kids. It's pretty much the feeling that we used to have on the patties when we used to sell the patties, that we're now putting, because everybody's in love with it and they want to have access to it all the time. So now we're working on putting on the shelves so that people can have access to purchasing it, and that's what we're working on. And we did you know, from taking the courses, and you kind of pinpointed to do the network and knock on doors, and connect with people that are in the same likes of the same realm and what you want to work on, and so that you could learn from them, and maybe learn what to do or what not to do. You learn, and then it will help you to move forward in that sense. So that's pretty much what we did. And when I say we, is me and my team, because it takes a team. You can't really do everything on your own. And started knocking on doors, and just until we got answers. And so far so good. We don't want to give everything away, but so far so good. And it's just it's taking a whole path on its own. Like, I did not know what we were going to get ourselves into until I got there. I just know that I'm knocking and somebody's going to say yes, somebody's going to answer. So that's pretty much what we're working on right now, which is why I'm not really too much on social media, because I'm behind the scenes working and pushing the project so it could move forward. With the contest, it was on social media that I saw it. I just put my name. I entered. I didn't know what I was going to get in or not. I said, you know what? Why not? Because at the moment we're also applying for funds everywhere, and we need funds to make funds happen. You know what I mean? So then I was like, okay, it's an opportunity, and it's not about the funds per se, but it's an opportunity also to have visibility, because that's one thing that struck me a lot, having taken the course from you, which is to not focus on the shortcoming, right? And then focus on everything that you do offer. So I took that and ran with it, and I entered and I got in. It's by favorite chef, which they are in collaboration with Colossal, Chef Carla Hall, and the James Beard Foundation. So it's pretty much a charity, in the sense where they collect funds to help everybody that's in the industry, the chef industry, especially after what happened during COVID. A lot of restaurants shut down, a lot of businesses, were closed, mom and pop businesses were out of business, and that affected a lot of families, and I'm sure with everything else also. But in the food industry, especially, we never really given as much as attention or need as we need to, because we're always there to provide for families, whether it's Christmas, holidays, and whatnot, and we don't really get that in return, right? So I think it's great what they're doing is pretty much having funds available to help different businesses and families and whatnot. So it's a competition to help us put ourselves forward, as well as helping everybody else in the industry. So I thought it was a good cause to step in.
Yes, most of us started one, you start, but now there's a second voting for June 6th, I
Yeah,
believe.
I think it's they're doing it in like section. So first they were selecting 20 top 20s out of, I believe, if it was 75. So I made the top 20, and now we're in the second part where they're taking top 15, and I believe after that they will choose probably top 5 and then go from there. So you have a chance of winning $25,000 to be on the cover of Taste of Home magazine and have an experience with Chef Carla Hall. And I love her. I've been watching her for a long time on Food Network. So I think it would be pretty cool to have that experience. But even if, like I said, even if you never know, but it's good to be in community with.
Yes, you know, we're going to push
Right.
everyone. We're going to flag
Positive.
you. We are good for you because you're in there. You're doing
Yeah.
amazing work. You know, you're doing a good job, and everybody deserves to vote for you. Yes, we're
Yeah,
pushing that
thank you,
out.
thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, if it was, I mean, you guys are voting, so if it wasn't for my family, my tribe, my followers, my clients, who's literally like putting dollars or putting votes and taking their time to put it, I wouldn't be in any position at all. So it's amazing to have that vote of confidence, and I'm grateful, and I'm appreciative, and we'll move forward to the next step, and go from there. And the next voting would finish on June 6th, I believe, and we'll know from that what goes on. So if when I make the top 15, and I'll keep you guys posted on everything. But the link is in my bio. It's also in all of my posts. I will keep posting it every day on my stories, on the reels, so you can vote every single day, every 24 hours. You could place a vote, a free vote, or you could purchase votes for $5, $10, $20, depending on how much you can or willing to spend. All the votes are appreciative. You could tell a friend. People don't even need to know me to vote for me. I appreciate it. Yeah, and that's pretty much what's going on right now when it comes to the chef life. And productive. I cannot say busy. I'm being productive. Is
Very good.
very
Mhm.
well.
To let the people know. With the Mushwa Guinea, what do you offer? Or there are spiritual services that you are
Mhm.
offering? Do you have products available that they can receive? So, share stuff.
To be honest, I have so much work going on. For Mushwa Guinea, it's my baby. Let me just say this, because how I started this page or how I started this business, I wasn't even sure I was going to be in any society or any, initiative from any initiation at all whatsoever. It came to me, and I decided to go with it from just a little that I knew or understood already, and it just kind of took from there. So from Mushwa, if you know anything about the voodoo spirituality or anything like that, the mushras usually are given to you by the voodoo priestess or the uga or the bako, depending on what the spirit that they channel through is saying that you need to do and whatnot. That's the tradition or the way that is done, because in their lineage, when you don't just carry mushras like that. Me, as you know, we are always in the forefront of changing things or making things better. I always see that, we shouldn't praise white faces to put them, or the saints, as our ancestors or our voodoo spirits. The veve represents the spirits, and the colors represent the spirits. So if you know the colors and you know the veves of the spirit, you have those two, you are connected automatically with the spirit. Some people use the images because they have rituals that their traditional family used to do, and that's what they have to do. you cannot go against that. But to teach the generation that wants to know now and those that's coming, we cannot continue pushing on a good world keep up because that's just la vie messiah there. For me, that's how I see it. So the mouchoirs came about that because the colors, anyway, colors is a reflection, right? It doesn't really exist as that. It's a reflection of what's going on in here. At the same time, it's represent the energies of says entities, not necessarily females or male. It just represent the energy. So, and we as humans are colored everywhere, especially if you look at our auras, our chakras, all the colors dictate what part of your chakra it is and whatnot. So I started studying into those and I realized we shouldn't have to wait until somebody says, here, take a mushra. You should already know to carry a mushra within you. But since we don't know, I felt like it was my calling to have that being accessible and people can just purchase it, not because Ugan told you or a spirit came to you, but because that color is what calls you or speaks to you. That means that spirit is also within you and you carry it so that you could channel it even more so and benefit also from it. And then that came about where I was like, okay, then nobody's doing the veves on the mushras either. So why not put the veves on the mushra that is attributed to? So I started doing that. We started doing the embroideries. And let me tell you, when you're doing things that is unfamiliar, people will. Haitians are not easy. Okay, let me just say this. Okay, so at first I was like, I was so nervous because to me it was like I don't know what I'm doing in the sense where I'm not in that realm yet.
You told something to me a couple of years back, which is someone who has been in the arts for a long time. She said to me, the problem with the voodoo is that it's not being elevated. You know, people want to continuously want to practice voodoo in the ancient ways, but the reality is like as humans we evolve.
Yeah,
So you're going to evolve in this spirit.
yeah.
Like, believe it or not, I'm gonna say, "Whoa, guys, compa, moi-même avec esprit," because I love compa. So you might as well jump into compa,
But,
and there's
but
nothing wrong with that. It's just
no,
something that you love.
there's nothing wrong with that because
There's nothing
who
wrong
are the
with
spirits
that.
anyway? The spirits are your ancestors who
Exactly.
actually live
Oh,
here
that's
also.
it. Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Many actions. You know, so it's really important and to just see how like the Haitian people continuously do to, it's not so much that that's how you did it, but you know, even now like when I tell people like you have different generations, people are evolving,
Mm-hmm,
people are maturing. So I love the concept. I didn't even know that you were selling those mushra with the villa. It's a different concept.
mm-hmm.
And it's nothing wrong with that. It's no lesser than what grandma
No,
used to do.
no, but when I started doing it because of people were afraid of what Vevet meant because the education that they gave us as l'autre son Vevet because this you calling out the spirits are in it, right? But because they had the mentality of vaudou c'est mal fait, etc. Ou traçon veve, ou café moun nan mal a veve, which is true. It's in it too. But that doesn't mean once it's done, drawn, you can do anything else with it. The spirit is there. But it's also, it's the spirit that's within you that is going to manifest even more so. It's not what the person did. Do you understand? So because of that knowledge that a lot of people either they did know or they stay stuck with the lack of education, it became like something that's still taboo that people was like I don't know if I want to have a veve and a mouchoir and whatnot and purchase it, and people that were supposed to actually teach me even more so they were like, yeah, but Haitians are stuck in their ways, they're not gonna get that, they're not gonna buy that. Tutus 2 years later everybody else is doing it now. So I was like, listen, if I'm gonna start a path for somebody else to do it, then so be it, because at some point we have to put those connections together to understand that what we've learned is not what it is. So what we now know, we have to put forth evidence to make it happen.
But Stael, also one thing that I really want people to understand about gifts is that when spirit gives you a gift, when the heavens give bless you with a gift, if you're not going to utilize it, they're going to give it to the next person,
Somebody else,
and the next person
exactly.
is going to utilize it.
Yeah.
So this is what the performance is. We're sitting on ideas that literally like I don't know, call it statistics, call it whatever it is that you want to call it. Because if you do ideas are really one shit, but you're not listening to that. And next thing you know, the next person, they're taking it away from you because
Well,
you're not utilizing the
no, but
shit that the next
you
person is
have to
going to do.
understand. You have to. Everybody have their calling. Sometimes it's not for you to actually do. It's for you to start and for somebody else to do. You understand? Parce que get the business. Si c'est pas ou créer, pas de monde ka faire. Parce que on gada go boulangerie, on fait pain, mais il y a plusieurs autres boulangers qui fait pain tout. Ou pas qu'à dire on va faire pas faire boulangerie. Plus energy doesn't die. It is transferred, right? So the minute you created it, then it's gonna stay here and it's gonna go everywhere else it needs to go. Because you're not the only person with gifts. You're not the only person that has that calling. You know what I mean? And I that's one thing about me is that once you are a creator, I am never, ever, ever afraid or worried about anybody else taking my idea and run with it. Never. You know why? Because you always create. That Dambala is in all of us. The creator is in all of us. Do you understand? So if you know and you are connected with the creation within you, then you should never be afraid of having anybody else having access to said creation. Because that's the whole
And it's
point.
so funny
Voodoo,
that too,
premièrement,
guys,
c'est
because
partage.
yeah,
Mhm,
I think like
mhm.
this is one of the reasons I like go back into these things. But when you say it like that, this is one of the reasons why it's kind of like people would start in Haiti and start a business, but they would stop the next person from using that same
Yep,
creativity that you already did to
yep.
move forward with it. But it's like maybe you are the person who had the idea to start it, but that doesn't mean that it needs to end with
Exactly.
you. I
Yeah.
totally
Because
agree.
you can't do it all. And if you're a person that's connected, this is where all my gifts started to resurface because I used to have them since I was a kid. I used to draw, I used to paint, I used to write, I sing, I dance, I play instrument. I did all this growing up. And I was in dance school with you. You remember that? So I did all this growing up. It's just again attributes along the way, certain life that you live or placement that they put you in. And if people do not understand that part of you, then they will not push you forward to move to utilize that, But when you get back into who you are, when you understand who you are, you get back into spirituality, and it's like it's not something that you're forcing, it just clicks, it just happened. And sometimes it's just therapy. You started doing it just because you want to just erase everything and then you just want to go into a different world, a different timeline, a different frequency, and then you started doing it and you're like, whoa. And when you wake up one day, you're like, I did that shit. Oh my God. Because it's not like you're doing it. Sometimes you do it intentionally, but most of the time it's the spirit that is expressing itself through you, right? It's the creation, and it doesn't necessarily have to be paint. You could be a person like I love watching HGTV when you're watching people flip houses and they're flipping comment dire ça, meubles, compagnie a fait de ces bagailles, like I would love to be able to do that. But it's not like in my regular day-to-day things to do that, and I'm not going to leave one project to go jump onto something else. But I'm fascinated by those type of people that can utilize wood and do all types of things within, and it's like, oh my God. Mais tout ça autour son esprit qui marche avec lui, vous comprenez? So depuis vous commencez à comprendre esprit ça qui marche avec moi, ou pas gen le choix pour pas dégager parce qu'il va l'emmerder jusqu'à ce que vous mettez le dehors. Vous comprenez? Like anything that has to do with beauty, I make oils to remove like calluses or psoriasis, eczema of the body, for skin, for health, for scalp and hair growth. I do that, and I wasn't somebody that was in
So
that
where can
before.
do you have a store where can they contact you for Mushwagine for some of the work that you do?
No, for
Do you have a store? Do you have a
not yet.
website?
We're working on that because
So they can just go
it's
on
they could
Instagram
go on
and
Instagram, and on my Mushrock page, they could DM me or send me an email, and I respond. As soon as I get it, I respond back. And we do ship everywhere. I've shipped to New York. I've shipped to Paris. We do ship everywhere. So they could contact me directly on Instagram. We are working on getting the website and the store up, but it's just taking a little bit of time because the chef page it's kind of taking over everything at the moment. But we are working on it, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll have everything come up because, like I said, when you have a calling and spirits on your butt, they're not gonna stop until you make it happen, you know. So this is pretty much what's been going on. It's a lot. I didn't, girl, 4 hours of sleep every day is not enough for that Kalim.
I know last night, I think that you guys me was midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning when you
Yeah.
finally were able to reply to me. I could hear the tiredness in
uh
your voice. And I want to say that I thank you so much for being here with me. I feel like the heavens have blessed this conversation this one.
yeah.
I really do. And I feel like, I just really want to thank you because, it was kind of like I just said, hey, would you like to be a part of it? And you said, oh, no problem, let's do this. You're always so open to everything that I do. I really want to thank
Oh
you.
no, thank
You are
you.
very much a genuine, you are a genuine spirit. You are a very respectful person because, it takes one to know us
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of like we are just entrepreneurs. So you've never asked me for a shortcut in everything that I do. You're always there to support me, and I love to see you grow. I love. Please understand that if you ever need me, if you want to talk to me, if you have something in mind that you're doing, you need my expertise, my services, I am here for you to support you and to continue. And I'm so happy that you said that you sing because I literally forgot that. And before we go, I'm going to ask for a
That's
special
okay.
request. Empalment pour chanter, to close down this line. This is what I really want you to
Ou
do
di,
for us because you have a beautiful voice. Go ahead and tell him that
Tale,
to close
ou
down
di
this
pou m chante avèk ki
beautiful
sa?
break. La prière
On
pour
priye?
nous.
Oh,
Let's just
ok.
pray and close down and then kind of like let your heart sing for the people so that the people understand who are you. I really, really love that. And I just can't thank you enough. I mean, it's like, wow, you are, a force to be reckoned with.
Oh,
Amazing people. I'm so happy of this conversation series. And today, it's kind of like you wrap up, those, it's just like, it's amazing. I really need for people to understand that when I do this work, these are the people that I have in my network. These are the individuals that I know. These are my source of inspiration, my source of motivation. So, and inviting people like yourself in this platform is for them to see the power that we have within ourselves. So, thank you so much
oh
for the
no.
conversation today because I needed that.
And
Thank
one
you
pour
so,
Dieu
so,
merci,
so
chérie.
much.
It's me that have to thank you because I don't know if you remember, but since February, before you even started the class, you sent me an email and told me that you were gonna make it happen and that you want me to join if I have time at any given time, let you know. And I was so busy I couldn't even answer you back. And I felt really bad because I'm like, oh my God, like I have to be part of it. I owe you a recommendation letter. And I'm like, oh man, here I got back. I was like, no, I have to. And then I've been following I little glimpses here and there, but I pay attention to everything that you're doing. And I'm like, oh man, and when you actually contacted me, and I'm like, wow, but it was just the timing, I was like, oh man, I have to find a way somehow to be part of it because you are an inspiration to me, and I'm telling you, le moment que vous mettez candidature, pas y avoir. Devant devant net. Pas comprendre. Ou pa kompren nou? Toujou ap pale de ou, ama tout mè mè toujou ap pale mdi ou, Rebecca, pou pa fon ide kon si mta senti mda lot bon sa ma avon, parce mge tan wè pa wè nan avon si nan pousse peye, nan fè chanjman kan mèm, and you are such an inspiration, like you don't even understand. It's just, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. I'm so proud of who you are and the woman that you're becoming and everything that you're putting forth, especially within our community and our nation. And you are doing it on the land. And the person that knows what it takes to do that from there, chapeau bas, jusqu'à terre. Ou pa fon ide. Et en même temps, moi content que ou même tout ou commencer à péter, mettez comme si ou pas obligé personnellement mettez assez dehors pour monde ka comprendre qui est souillé dans le fond pour en même temps tout peut pas peur representer qui est souillé. That's one of the major work that you could possibly ever do for you and for those that's coming. So thank you for all that you are doing, and I'm grateful to be here. This was an amazing conversation. It was a long time coming, and I'm grateful. I really am grateful for all that you're doing, and I'm grateful that I was able to close with you. Thank you so much for receiving me, for having me, and like you said, it was destined because so far, internet line is swat. Some of them. So I'm grateful. Thank you so much. Et puis bon, pour nous faire bien, on a dit, pas pouvoir faire nation, cette nation, 21 nation, 101 loi, 101 racine, pas pouvoir mettre le rhum qui a tout pouvoir, pas pouvoir mettre cafou, mettre grand chimé, mettre grand boyer, les bois, nous bois. Pas parler bas, marasa 2, marasa 3, marasa 4, marasa la fille Guinée, nous demandons route, nous demandons chemin, nous demandons passage, nous demandons direction, nous demandons lumière, et nous disons merci. Nous disons merci pour journée, jeudi de dimanche, jour de repos, jour de grâce, jour de la prière. Nous disons merci pour force, pour courage, pour l'amour, pour partage, pour protection, pour assurance, pour nous connaître qui est nous, côté nous sortir, côté nous pour aller, pour le travail que nous avons fait, parce que le travail là en pile, même en pile, je pas l'eau, nous pas pour compte nous assurer, nous camper, nous camper jam, nous camper ferme. Nous disons merci pour la vie, nous disons merci pour santé, nous disons merci pour l'amour, nous disons merci pour abondance, pour nous-mêmes qui là, nous disons merci pour Madame Rebecca Jealous, ma bonne non, parce que obligé, il faut l'homme qui présent, qui a fait travail, il mettait pour le faire, pour le râler jeunesse, pour le râler jeunes, pour montrer, comprendre qui est ce souterrain, nous dit merci pour famille, nous dit merci pour grâce, pour bénédiction que vous accordez, pour l'amour, pour la vie, pour protection, surtout côté lié, parce que nous connaissons pas facile, mais nous côté tout le monde a un bon cœur qui travaille, depuis l'idée, depuis l'intention là, pas gain qui pas fait, j'en supposé fait la protection toujours là, toujours assurée. Alors, nous dit merci, toute gros loi, toute la cour, toute gros la cour d'antino, toute bitation, bon maman nous, bitation, bon papa nous, pour présence nous, ça n'a fait à nous, même qui campait là, qui campait Dieu, avec mon cap garder, mon qui peut le garder, mon pas chita pour garder, puis comprendre, nous dit merci, nous dit aïe bobo, pour tout le monde à la one bade. Bon, comme je dis à ces jours dimanche, je maîtresse là, ma font tirer le tout petit, après vous belle femme, et je n'ai quitté là ça. Aïe bobo, dis aïe bobo, aïe bobo.
Wow.
Zili wo, relève pour moi, oh maîtresse direz-le pour moi. Tiens, zili wo, relève pour moi. Maîtresse direz-le pour moi. Brale les maîtresses zili wo, quittez les maîtresses zili wo. Brale les maîtresses d'Ilio, qui t'aiment les maîtresses d'Ilio. Diez il pas là, l'aller en bas de l'eau, relève moi. Diez il relève moi. Oh la reine, oh. Dieu les pour moi. Yes, il Dieu les pour moi. Oh maîtresse, oh, Dieu les pour moi. Brale les mambosilio. Qui t'aime les mambosilio. Brale les mambosilio, qui t'aime les mambosilio. Diez il pas là, l'aller en bas de l'eau, relève pour moi. Diez il pas là, l'aller en bas de l'eau, relève pour moi. Il est pas là, l'aller en bas de l'eau. Relève moi. Aïe, bobo.
Ouh, aïe,
Aïe,
bobo, ma
bobo, aïe,
chérie.
bobo.
Aïe,
Merci,
bobo,
hein.
ma chérie. Merci, chérie.
C'est moi pour
Yo jwen an pil benediksyon pou sa fe pou mwen. Ke bon Dieu beni an, ke di beni titou, ke di beni kayo, ke pou yo pati la kayo, ke ou resevo an pil kado la men yo. Ok, mersi an pil, chapeau ba, salita maman, Mimi, tout moun yo pou mwen. I love
I
you.
love
Congratulations
you.
on you. And we will definitely
Yes.
continue to talk.
Yes,
Okay?
sweetie.
Thank you.
Salut tout le monde pour moi tout. Et puis, mon bagage m'a dit, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You are doing what you're supposed to do. Everything else a white noise and it doesn't matter.
Amen. Thank you
Okay?
so much, my love.
Je t'aime, mon amour. Merci, chérie. D'accord, chérie. Bye.